obituaries, wedding announcements, and profiles of prominent flyers that celebrate the shared experiences and interests of the airline's 900 million alumni.
I think it's a nice thing for Delta to do. I mean, it's always interesting to just skim through an issue, see what the old boarding group's up to. It kind of makes me nostalgic for the few hours back when I was on that flight to Tampa. Simpler days.
This is the Onion News Network.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. It's talk radio you control. You can get your thoughts and ideas on the air by giving us a call at 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's Stu,
Riley O'Bill,
and Richie Rich.
It's good to be here tonight. There was a pre-recorded show last night. They got into the Epstein stuff. I don't know if any of you guys listened to that.
I've listened to about half of it, and I don't know. I think it's interesting that they're getting to the Epstein stuff. I didn't really care about the Epstein stuff because it's not really my cup of tea to get into all the horrible things that evil people do.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
So it's like, I just don't care enough to bother reading that stuff. But if you want to bother reading it and you have some stuff you want to talk about, 603-283-6160 is the phone number to do that on the show.
Yeah, I didn't listen to the show. I didn't read it.
Personally, I've been aware of that stuff for years. I listen to the show anyways, but
Riley has
I always
to,
feel like I
he
need
does
a shower.
the digest.
It's true, and I'm almost done with the
digest. I always
digest.
feel like I need to clean myself after hearing the creepy stuff that goes on in the world.
Just got a check box. I was right. Check.
Yeah.
They are doing that. Check. Jump on social media. Told you so.
Yeah, they're doing it. So what's new, guys? Anything?
Nah, not much. Chilling.
Yeah.
Same old.
Same old for me too. Just chilling.
Cool.
Just having a life.
Cool.
Living the life of Riley, I guess.
I guess things are still up in the air for this year's Pork Fest. Nobody really knows. There may not even be one.
Okay. Pork Fest?
Pork Fest.
Okay.
But Fork Fest is happening.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not confused by it, but all the drama that I saw over the last couple weeks was Fork Fest related. I had no idea that Pork Fest was also struggling.
I've heard they may announce it for Liberty Forum, so who knows?
Which is upcoming, right? That's a week or 2 or 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
It's
I'm
March
definitely
5th.
not on the inside of any of this, but as far as I understand it, they got to find somewhere to have it other than Rogers Campground.
And they've had a year to figure that out, so I don't know why they're waiting 4 months before the event to struggle.
I've also heard people say, and I haven't looked into it, that Rogers is the only place in the entire state big enough to hold that many people, and we all know it's not actually big enough to hold that many people anyways. They run into water problems on day 3, and the electricity in the back sites is just not good because everybody's using it.
Yeah, those are solvable problems if you allow the market to work, right? Someone showed up, was it last year or the year before, with a whole portable shower and bathroom system? Right? Oh, but you got to pay, right? Because it's not provided by Rogers. So it's hey, you want a warm shower, $5 or whatever it was.
Well, a lot of those things contributed to the problem because they'd show up with an empty tank and fill it up on Rogers water. And
that would create problems. Yeah.
Well, that's just bad business then.
Well, I mean, It's good business. It's bad. It's being a bad neighbor.
Sure, I would.
It's being a.
You can say dick.
Can you?
Yeah.
You can say being a dick.
Yeah.
So that rule to me is much higher priority than non-aggression. Is don't be a dick.
Yeah, that's the old Stefan Molyneux trope from a long time ago. It's you're going to run into problems.
That guy used to be awesome.
Used to be, yes.
He went weird somewhere along the line.
He went a little conservative back. Well, I don't know when it happened, but he's been really conservative lately.
Oh man, I can't remember the guy's name. Yeah, there was someone who suggested, and I apologize for not remembering who you are because he used to do a podcast as well. That Stefan Molyneux started to go downhill slightly after his cancer diagnosis and treatment.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't know anything about that.
Right, and because it's one guy's theory on the mental decline of a once modern day philosopher. But his mental decline went down after and they said the cancer plus the treatment must have altered his brain in some way. And that was it was the timing lined up where that could have been the reason.
Okay.
Or he just went conservative into racism and misogyny and all that other stuff that he's into now for whatever reason.
Yeah. I remember from
he's anti-weed.
I don't know if that's when the change happened, but when I saw it was Trump won, and then he, isn't he Canadian? Anyway?
Yes.
And he was singing the United States national anthem and just praising Trump.
I don't know if he's nationally Canadian. He's South African and then lives in Canada, and I don't know if he's ever made the transition.
So the opposite of Elon Musk's grandfather was Canadian, got kicked out, became South African.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Side note, was kicked out for pushing basically the same stuff that goes on today. There's like technocracy and eugenics.
All right.
The Musk dynasty. Technocracy and eugenics.
The problem is, is he going to have a dynasty? He's got a lot of kids, but if none of them want to be associated with him, the dynasty kind of ends with him.
Yeah, but if he dies, people are going to want his assets.
Yeah, his kids. First and foremost.
Well, there's plenty of them, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. but there's also billions of dollars to spread around. Yeah. So you get $1 billion and you get $1 billion and all 12 of you get $1 billion.
I wish I could have that kind of money.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. Read us a story, Richie.
Oh, okay. I read you the list. Any place in particular you want to start off?
Just pick your favorite.
All right. Let's do this one because I love picking on the younger generation. As an old guy now, this is my, any story that comes up that denigrates Gen Z and lower, I'm all about it. College students can't put their phones down, not even during sex.
Uh-oh.
Oh, man.
That seems impolite.
Yeah, that does seem I wonder how
Unless you're both doing it, right?
Well,
sure, but at the same time...
Okay, inappropriate then, either way.
How do you manage to use your phone while having sex? I don't get it.
Just post-coitus, man. You just peek over and go hold on, I got a notification. Or you don't even say, hold on. You just pick up the phone and handle your business.
Okay.
While handling your business.
Okay.
Or maybe it's just not good enough. You're like, man, I'd rather be on my phone.
Yeah.
Right? When we were in high school, my buddy had a line that I still use to this day, and it's better than sex. Right?
Uh-huh.
Whatever, how was that steak? Oh man, better than sex. Wow, that is a really good steak, because sex is kind of like the pinnacle of how good things can feel in life.
Sure.
And this new generation is like, no, checking my notifications, man, better than sex. College sex has always involved a little multitasking. Did it? What's the other multitasking? Slipping the roofie in?
Oh, man.
I don't know. I never went to college yet.
Okay.
I went to college, but I never went around that scene because I was trying to be a good Mormon boy.
What scene?
The sex scene, the date, the major, hey, let's go sleep around scene. Let's go hook up. That scene.
My two favorite things with the Mormons is the hump jumping and the bubbles, the Mormon bubbles.
What's Mormon bubbles?
They'll take a standard photo of a sexy chick, and then put circles over the naughty bits.
Oh
yeah.
So even though it's covered up anyway, the bubbles trick your brain into thinking that it's not. And so your deviant Mormon brain fills in the blanks.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's
right.
Funny. There was a video company in Utah for a little while. I don't know if they still do it, but they were called Clean Flicks or something, where they'd take popular movies and they'd dub over the swear words for the Mormons so they could watch these rated R movies. Like Snakes on a Plane would say, I'm tired of these. Edit. I'm tired of these Monday through Friday snakes on this Monday through Friday plane.
Yes. Or Monkey Fighting, I think, was one of the TV edits because I like that one.
Oh man, some of the funniest stuff ever.
That's hilarious. Yeah,
Mother funny, please. Mother funny, please.
I don't know if that company still does things like that or still exists, but Mormons, for me growing up, I was told to not watch these sorts of things, but my parents, at least my dad did. My dad swore a lot when I was a kid, but
I just find it ironic that your parents told you not to watch something.
Was your dad in the categorization of Jack Mormon?
I don't think so. I think he tried to be a good Mormon, but
did he go
was
every
like,
Sunday?
What's that?
Did he go every Sunday?
Oh yeah, every Sunday. I mean, he volunteers as a security guard at the St. George Temple. He's served in various positions in the church, so he does a lot of things. So I would say that he's pretty active. I wouldn't say he's very orthodox. Like, he's not rule by the book sort of person, which is pretty nice. Like, he expects us to govern ourselves, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Mormons always blocking that stuff out. Which, again, I would think, like, Japan has a similar issue, right, with their pornography and their lewdness laws, which is why the weirdest stuff comes out of Japan.
Yeah, and
their imagination runs wild.
Yeah, I don't see the point. Is because you got to, like, you're filling that in with your imagination anyways.
Right.
So this is really no different than just watching the thing.
Right. Or worse, because, like, your imagination goes into tentacle stuff if you're Japanese, which has nothing to do with the normal stuff.
It's true.
College says always involved a little multitasking. Someone's roommate is asleep 3 feet away. Someone's thinking about a paper due tomorrow. Someone's hoping this doesn't turn into a whole relationship conversation. For those still in college, it happens after college as well, so that doesn't go away. What's new is the phone. Not nearby, buzzing on the dresser. We're talking actively in someone's hand. According to a recent survey reported by the New York Post, more than 1 in 3 U.S. college students admit they've checked their phone during sex. Not afterward, not to change the music, during. The survey, conducted through the campus-focused apps Yik Yak and SideChat, polled roughly 100,000 American students aged 18 and over. About 35% said they pulled out their device mid-hookup to send a text or scroll through a video. It's easy to read that stat as a joke about attention spans or to blame Gen Z for being terminally online. Yes, and that's why I grabbed this article, because we know who it is. But phones aren't just distractions anymore. They're security blankets. They're anxiety regulators. They're muscle memory. For some students, reaching for a screen during sex isn't about boredom or disrespect. It's about habit, nerves, or staying tethered to a world that never turns off. The same survey offers a more relatable snapshot of what college sex actually looks like right now. Nearly 23% of respondents said they've had sex while their roommate was still in the room. Meanwhile, 72% said they met their current or most recent partner in person, not through an app. That detail alone complicates the idea that young people have abandoned real-life intimacy. Is there really a sex drought? A lot of panic about a so-called sex drought focuses on adults slightly older than current undergrads. The National Survey of Family Growth has found rising rates of sexlessness among people aged 22 to 34. About 10% of men and 7% of women in that group reported they're still virgins. An analyst by the Institute for Family Studies noted that sexlessness among young adult men has nearly doubled over the past decade, while a significant increase among women as well. College students sit just outside that bracket. Many older Gen Z adults lost formative social years to pandemic lockdowns and remote life. Today's undergrads are back on campus, back in shared spaces, and back to navigating sex in close quarters. They're having it. They're just doing it with their phones within reach. Scrolling during sex isn't aspirational. It's not romantic. It does, however, feel like an honest look into how intimacy works in a world where attention is constantly split. For better or worse, phones follow people everywhere now, even into bed. End of the article.
That's insanity, man.
That is insanity. Like, I think it's interesting that there has been a hookup culture ever since I was in college for quite some time. I know Tinder came along at some point, and people were using that app to hook up, and meet people. But like I said, I never got involved in that scene. But at the same time, hookup culture gave people an opportunity to have sex with somebody and abandon them later and be like, I don't really like this person, don't want to be in a relationship with them, but I want the sex. Okay. But at the same time, here we are having 1/3 roughly of adults having sex and scrolling on their phone. I wonder if some of them are scrolling on a dating app to find somebody else.
Guilty. I've done that.
Really?
Well, not during, but after. Rolled over and said, like, where am I going next?
Okay.
Yeah.
What motivated you to go that route?
Good question. It was that period of my life where I was like sowing my wild oats, I guess. Like, my first girlfriend, we were together for 9 years, from high school through college, and that was it. And we broke up, and I got braces as an adult. And that like dried up any sexual conquest for like 3.5, 4 years. It's like, who wants to date a dude in their 20s with braces? And then after that, I kind of regained my confidence and went like, I got a lot of making up to do. And so I did.
Okay. The answer to that question is probably a smart girl would want to date a dude in his 20s with braces.
Maybe.
Oh, I don't know. Anyways.
Did not work out for me. Ironically, I also, like, if you're on camera, I have a beard now. And I had a beard back then too. And my buddy was like, dude, it's the beard. I'm like, it's not the beard. Like, I like the beard. Chicks dig beards. You're not a man if you don't have a beard. But over time, he wore me down and convinced me to shave it off. And I shaved it off, like, right when I got a date with this chick. And she's like, oh, what happened to the beard? I'm like, you son of a...
Some chicks are...
You sucker.
Some chicks are totally into beards.
Right.
Some
And she
chicks
was,
not so much.
like, right when I shaved it off. Like, the whole mini courtship was like, I was bearded. And then we finally decided to, like, go out. And I shaved it off, before we made the arrangements.
All right.
So, yeah, I was really upset at my buddy for that. Never listening to you again. But he was like, how old are you, Riley? Sorry, if you don't mind.
I'll be 40 in March.
Okay, so he was younger than you because like I had a decade on my closest friends at the time.
Yeah.
And I was amazed because I'd go hang out with him and like the lines they used worked. And like I could never pull that off. Like we're just hanging out at a party and like just like walk up to a chick like, you want to smash? And like they would say yes. Like that works.
That does work.
Apparently it does, because like they never went without. And I was like in mid drought or ending of the drought at that time. I was like, man, something has to change here, because if that works, whatever I'm doing is completely wrong. Which wasn't much. Like, granted, even now, right? Like I don't put myself in social scenarios to move on those things. I was like, I go to work, I go home, I play video games, and like aside from the sex, right? Like, what else do modern females like bring to the table for me? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It sounds transactional, and it kind of is, but like, what are you gonna do that I don't already have taken care of that's gonna like improve my life significantly? And
a lot of older women, like in their late 30s, early 40s, who are still single, will ask you the same question. What are you bringing to my table? I already do want my stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is why the sex should be the only thing, right? But all of a sudden, like, I want more of it, or I want to see you more, and I want you to come over more. Like, why? What are we going to do besides the sex? And the answer is not much.
Well, you can have shared experiences playing video games together.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of females my age or like my dating range that are as into video games as I am.
Okay.
And if they were, like, I'd be all about it. Right? Like, let's do that. Right? There's got to be something to do, like, before, during, and after sex.
Oh, it's the internet
video
age,
games should
man.
be it.
There are some girls like that, and it's the internet age. You could find her.
Yeah, but I got to go online to find her, and I don't
That's
go
true.
online.
You got to do some work.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And it's the trade-off of like doing the work, right? The juice hasn't been worth the squeeze.
I think that's why fewer and fewer people are hooking up anymore. Is because, I mean, the work part of it is more of a payment than what they feel like they're getting as a payout.
Yeah.
So,
well, for the other stuff besides the sex, right? Like during that period of time, right? Like that was the only thing on my mind, right? Like, how much effort am I going to put in, and, how many girls is it going to be, and like, how am I going to make this work? Like nothing else mattered. And now other things matter, but that's like the only thing deficient.
Yeah. Well, not being on your phone all the time probably helps too. I don't know. But I guess sounds like now you can be on your phone all the time and still hook up.
I guess so.
And as as I'm going to say, Xennial, Zennial, that mid-range, millennial Gen X cusp that I like to squeeze myself into. I'm on my phone a lot, but only when I'm at work. Right? Like when I'm at work, my job is boring for the most part. There's not a lot to do, and I'm chronically on my phone. And then I get home from work, and my phone just like gets chucked into a corner, and I go about my evening, right? Yep. And doing all of those, which is mostly playing video games, but like I got to shower and I got to eat and I got to, prepare other things for the days ahead, right? Yeah. And then I play video games or watch TV or whatever.
Yeah, I got a few things I do semi-habitually on my phone, but almost none of those are social media related.
Okay.
I'll play like 10 minutes of chess, and I'll check the silver price and a couple of crypto prices, and like see if anything went crazy, like the Fed rate or anything like that. Check the weather, things like that, and then other than that, I don't look at my phone a whole lot.
Yeah, I do a lot of show prep for this show and the podcast that we do. So like that's the vast majority of time I'm on my phone is reading news headlines so that I can find these wacky things to talk about.
Yeah.
And then, the occasional social media to see what other libertarians and anarchists are doing.
Yeah.
Speaking of wacky things to talk about, I'm going to fire back with a downer of a story.
Boo!
Marine detained in Minneapolis says feds copied his phone without a warrant.
Unsurprising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not surprising at all. I don't know. A lot of people, I think, though, would expect a Marine to not undergo that kind of treatment.
Did they know he was a Marine when they did it?
I'm pretty sure he told them.
Okay.
But I've seen all kinds of videos of people telling ICE that, I'm a citizen or I'm whatever.
Prove it.
They don't care. Give us a call, 603-283-6160. Let us know what's on your mind tonight. This is Free Talk Live.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke tearfully this week after the deaths of 9 people in a mass shooting in Western Canada. He told the people of the small town of Tumbler Ridge, "The nation mourns with you." Carney cancelled a trip to the Munich Security Conference following the shooting.
Parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers in Tumbler Ridge will wake up without someone they love. The nation mourns with you. Canada stands by you. want to thank and pass on a number of world leaders who've reached out directly to me in solidarity and compassion. France, United Kingdom, His Majesty himself, Norway, Finland, India, United Arab Emirates, many others. The world is with you.
China has lashed out at the United Kingdom's decision to expand a visa program for Hong Kong residents, calling it despicable. Britain made the announcement following the sentencing of pro-democracy media mogul Jimmy Lai to 20 years in prison under a national security law. Laura Westbrook reports.
The United Kingdom announced that the British National Overseas or B&O visa scheme would allow children of status holders at the time of the 1997 handover to be able to apply for the route independently of their parents. It was in response to a 20-year prison sentence by vocal critic of Beijing Jimmy Lai. The 78-year-old founder of the now shuttered Apple Daily newspaper was convicted of conspiring to collude with foreign forces and a separate charge of sedition in his high-profile national security trial. The Chinese embassy in London called the visa expansion reprehensible and interference in China's internal affairs. The scheme was launched in 2021 after Beijing imposed a sweeping national security law on Hong Kong. Since then, more than 160,000 Hong Kongers have moved to the UK.
US Secretary of State Marco Rubio warned this week that the world is heading into a new era of geopolitics. The comments came as he joined a huge gathering of world leaders at the Munich Security Conference. William Denselow reports from the Bavarian city.
Kicking off the Munich Security Conference, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz warned that we're in an era of big power politics and that the rules-based order is under threat. This gathering of more than 50 heads of state or government is an opportunity to discuss how to respond to this new reality. European powers are expected to lay out a vision of a continent that's less reliant on the US for its security. Over the next few days, a number of global conflicts will be discussed, including the war in Ukraine.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. Give us a call, 603-283-6160. Let us know what you're thinking about tonight. Forkfest is back at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. This June 22nd to 29th, come camp with people who actually think and live like libertarians. Jump on a soapbox and give a speech if you'd like to give one, or listen to others. Vend or enjoy food and wares from other vendors. Forkfest is what you want it to be. There's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. Forkfest.party for more info. That's forkfest.party. In the studio tonight, it's Stu,
Riley O'Bill,
and Richie Rich. I'm glad they got the dates squared away. Again, with all the drama over the past several weeks surrounding Forkfest.
They were waiting for a Porkfest announcement because traditionally it either precedes or follows Porkfest. Yeah. And since there wasn't going to be one, nobody that's in charge just decided it's going to be 22nd through 29th.
There you go. That's how it started, right? Like, I'm going to be camping before Porkfest, or I'm going to stay after Porkfest, and if you want to stay with me, you're more than welcome to.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
And we're going to put a name on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first year, I think it was Somalia Fest.
Yeah. But with no Porkfest, like, oh, maybe Porkfest is going to be the same time now. Are they going to scramble? Or are they just going to have two different venues? Right? Because they get Rogers. Porkfest is excluded from Rogers.
Well, as far as I know, the Porkfest was already excluded from Rogers.
That's what I'm saying.
So, right now we're going to go to the phones. We've got Dave Ridley. You're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind, Dave?
I have a continuation of my series about what was going on in the Free State Project this year, 20 years ago.
So
what was
February-
going on 20 years ago?
20 years
yeah,
ago?
that's why I should put it. This
Okay.
this is in the 06, in 2006, basically.
Okay.
So it's some of the history that people have forgotten, but which is considered pretty interesting. So we talked in the past about how there was, the Free Staters sort of discovered civil disobedience in 2005. And this had this ripple effect where more and more Free Staters or various Free Staters were doing civil disobedience to sort of imitate the people that had done it in 2005. So when Russell Canning and others, did interesting things to defy the federal government or the local government, that one of the people who was watching was a lady named Lauren Canario, who lived in Nevada at the time, I believe. And she decided to do something different. And she on her way to New Hampshire, she stopped off in New London, Connecticut, where a spectacular government outrage was underway. Have you heard of the New London incident?
Yes.
So
and they made a movie out of it, The Little Pink House.
I have not actually heard of that.
You were missing out. Dave?
Well, if they didn't put Lauren in the movie, they were really missing something. But anyway, so she was there just basically kind of just to rent, or be there for a few months or something like, and just pitch into the local activists.
Pause for a minute then, because let's fill Stu in on the New London thing. I was giving you the chance to explain what the New London incident was, but I can do it if you want.
Yeah, so the government tried to see the government in the town, I think, or the city,
New London, Connecticut,
seized the property, New London, Connecticut, for the purpose of just handing it over to a corporation. So
not a property, a neighborhood.
Correct. And this made it to the Supreme Court. It was on 60 Minutes. It was just this big deal. Rush Limbaugh talked about it. And again, one of the key players was Lauren Canario, who went and started doing civil disobedience to try and defend this neighborhood. So the first thing I can't remember the exact sequence, but I believe the first thing she did was to stand. I think she stood in a stairwell at a city hall meeting. I think they were trying to make people leave or something, like there were too many people at the city hall meeting, something like that. And she refused to leave the meeting. So they arrested her for that. That was all over the news. And either before or after that, she was arrested for just sitting on the porch on one of the homes that belonged to one of the homeowners there who was having their home seized. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that homeowner may have already abandoned the scene or something like that. And they just considered her to be unlawful in that house, even though the homeowner wanted her there. And so they arrested her for that. And one of these arrests, they threw her away for 3 months. I don't know if they ever charged her, or I don't know if they ever, went through a proper trial process or any of that. But she was in jail for 3 months for either for standing in that stairwell or for sitting on a porch. I can't remember which. And the Homeland Security got involved, and it was just a big deal. But of course, it was not happening in New Hampshire. So eventually, Lauren was released, and she decided that there just wasn't. That probably hadn't been the best place to make her stand, right? Mm-hmm. So eventually, she moved to New Hampshire.
Well, it was a worthy stand at the time, based on the precedent that case then set.
What did happen with that?
So
did they get away with it?
I'm going to try to I won't step on Dave too much, but Kelo versus New London is the case, and the town of New London decided that they were going to eminent domain a neighborhood to bring in a pharmaceutical company and production facility, and the wording of eminent domain as it currently stands is the government, can take your land and property and with just compensation for public use. And they changed the definition in this case from public use to public benefit, because the town of New London, the neighborhood that they were raising, was old and dilapidated and, didn't generate a lot of tax revenue. And this big pharmaceutical giant production facility was going to generate a whole bunch of tax revenue for the town of New London, which would then be in the quote-unquote public benefit.
Right.
So they got the eminent domain. They changed the function of eminent domain to do this. And I don't remember her first name. Is it Jeanette Kilo or something? I forget. She was like the last house standing, and she had this little pink house that all the other citizens of the neighborhood vacated, and she just protested until the very end, until she was basically dragged off the property and they bulldozed it. And then since that time, right, like 20 years ago, the pharmaceutical company has done nothing with the property.
But it was given to them anyways?
It was given to them.
And the Supreme Court upheld it?
Yeah.
So
that's disgusting.
So that's it. That's the end of property ownership in America.
Pretty much. It's pretty much the end.
They raised the neighborhood, raised as in tore down, like that function of the word, right, to give it to this pharmaceutical company, and they never built the building.
Okay.
And they have never built, and they've changed their mind and backed out of the deal with the town of New London, and they've done nothing. So they tore this whole neighborhood down, kicked out all these people, and still got no public benefit out of it.
Well, I'd rather that than the public benefit they were shooting for. I'd rather it sit there unused.
Okay, I'd rather then be returned to the original owners if they're going to take it.
Well, clearly,
and
but they're not
compensate to
going
rebuild their neighborhood.
Clearly,
how about
but
them
they're,
apples?
They're not going to do that.
Yeah, but at least that would be just or justice.
Yeah, but
right? We all know there is no justice in the justice system. There's just us in the system.
Yeah, there's no. Definitely no regard for that. It's not one of the priorities. Anyways, Dave, go ahead.
There are other footnotes to the story. I guess after that, New Hampshire passed legislation to make sure that kind of thing couldn't happen in New Hampshire. It wasn't just legislation; it was a constitutional amendment that passed the vote of the public and is now part of the New Hampshire Constitution.
Yeah, but they could just vote to switch it anyways.
Well,
and then the Supreme Court would uphold it. So.
And New Hampshire is still exercising their eminent domain on a number of properties.
Yeah.
Yes, but not the way New London did.
Understood.
Also, there were some things that happened again, going back in time a little bit to the middle and the beginning, middle, and end of this crisis. The Free Staters organized at least one sort of caravan down to New London to run a series of demonstrations. And they demonstrated at the jail, and from New Hampshire, and then people who were local got involved as well. I tried going a day before the demonstration, and I went to every single perpetrator office and just walked into the office with a sign saying, I don't remember what it said, something like seizing homes is wrong or something like that. And just stood in their offices, go as deep as I could before I was stopped. And I just stand there and hand out flyers and wouldn't answer any of their questions. And each of them showed varying levels of freak out. And they would usually eventually ask me to leave when I wouldn't say anything. And then I'd start leaving really slow.
Yes.
And one of the places I went was the Pfizer headquarters, or the Pfizer office that was there, where they're supposedly going to expand and everything. They were the angriest at me, I think, of any of them.
I bet.
Yeah, but they got what they wanted, right? For all that activism, right? That the neighborhood was still claimed, the houses were still torn down, the land was still given to Pfizer, and then they chose not to do anything with it. So,
I mean, it's hard to say for sure. My guess is that Pfizer didn't build largely because of the negative publicity. They just didn't think they could move forward anymore, and I think that was an accomplishment of the resistance.
Okay,
I think that's a bad PR move though, because then you just have both sides mad because still the neighborhood's been seized,
right?
And the other side that thought they were going to get some tax revenue out of this got nothing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like a bad move to me.
I don't think Pfizer's hurting for profits either.
They're not.
No.
Yeah, nothing is exactly what the city of New London deserved. And as a final footnote, Lauren, shortly thereafter moved to New Hampshire as originally planned and continued doing some civil disobedience in New Hampshire, which did generate some publicity. But I think like with so many people who do civil disobedience, her bolt had kind of been shot by the time she left Connecticut. She put a lot into that and lost a lot over it. So what she did in New Hampshire didn't have the same kind of effect that what she did in Connecticut did.
Well, and civil disobedience in general is supposed to be like passed down to the next line of civil disobedience, right? You can't be a civil disobedient activist forever. You have to like do your part and, inspire the next generation to do their part. And I don't know if there's been that inspiration here recently with civil disobedience as it was 20 years ago.
It's like a bell ringing, I think. You have the loudest part at the beginning.
Okay. Well, I stand by the founder's quote that the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. And if it's a bell ringing, like ring the bell again, right? Don't ever let it stop ringing if you want to like sustain and long-lasting peace and liberty in your lifetime.
So are you going to ring the bell, Richie?
I wish someone would let me ring the bell.
Okay.
I don't have the support I need to ring the bell I want to ring, and you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Not sure I do, but sounds like you don't want to explain. And
it's the violence. Refresh the tree.
Oh, yeah. You want to water the tree.
Yes.
Yes, he does want to water the tree.
That's one way.
It's the way.
Well, my worries about that is that you're just going to end up with new psychopaths that move in and run things. Because
the first thing I said was like
decent people don't want that job.
The price of liberty is eternal vigilance, right? And the great thing about the new psychopaths coming in is they don't have the backing of the populace that the current psychiaths do, that they've built up over hundreds of years.
That's true. It takes them a while to
the
grow
new
bold.
guy, the new like thug taking over the neighborhood doesn't have the legitimacy of the local police department, right? So it's okay to take him out too. Just do it quickly before he starts to build that legitimacy, and then never let anyone get the legitimacy.
Yeah, the ring of power goes in the volcano.
Yes.
There's no other way about it.
But the ring of power going into the volcano is the people, right? With their everlasting vigilance, protecting the liberty that they've established.
That's right.
And somewhere along the lines, right, Americans have let that go, right? I'll go as far as like the Whiskey Rebellion, right? As soon as they went, okay, we're free, and they're like, nope, here's another tax. Like they should have put an end to that straight away and never let that get established or anything else.
I think there was more afoot at that time than is explained in the history books.
Okay.
Like any of them.
I just don't like that, they shook off the yoke of British imperialism, right, only to then put the yoke back on their fellow Americans.
That's what I'm saying.
So
I think that whole thing was a facade because Britain only finally left them alone in the 1812 war. Right?
Okay.
Only finally left them alone when they said, okay, fine, we'll take Central Bank. Otherwise, they were just going to sit out there and keep lobbing cannonballs at Boston. And you know what I mean? Like complete blockade. And so nothing was ever going to happen. Like Great Britain wasn't just going to let that go. And unless it was structured the way they wanted it. And I think that's what they got.
All right. Even more so then, they should have fought harder then.
I think so
because
too.
now it's nearly impossible, but still like on the table maybe.
I think the Constitution should have never made it anywhere. It's a horrible document. It was so bad they had to add the Bill of Rights to make it somewhat
palatable to the people.
Yeah, and yeah. For example, Article 6. Just read it and really internalize what that says, and tell me if that's okay or not, because it's nowhere near freedom.
Yeah.
Anyways, kind of off track there.
History lesson.
Yeah, Dave was giving us a more recent history lesson though about circa 2006 in the Shire.
Yes, I was about to say nothing to add, but there is one more footnote, and that is that in response to one of the Supreme Court justices he voted in favor of this business of, oh yeah, you can just take anybody's property and hand it over to a company. He happened to to have a home in New Hampshire. He was a New Hampshireite of sorts. And so the Free Staters organized a demonstration at his house.
Excellent.
And they also used the legislative process to try to seize it.
Use the legislative process to what?
To try to seize his house.
Oh,
it was
very nice.
not legislative. It was not legislative. It was, I think it was ordinance, town ordinance.
Yeah, either way, they were using the government gun to try to seize his property. That's hilarious.
Something like that, yeah.
Should have used the people's gun. Just toss his ass out.
The people's guns seem to jam less, and
it's
more
ours
accurate.
now.
Anyway.
This is okay under your rules, right? We can just take it for our use because we, the people, decided that your house is better serving us and our use, right? Like that's, good for the goose, good for the gander.
Mm. All right. Is that all you had, Dave?
That is it.
Cool. Thanks for the call.
RidleyReport.com is where you find Dave Ridley.
Yep.
.com.
Thank you. We've got another caller on the line, so we're going to go to Sarah in New Mexico. Sarah, what's on your mind tonight?
Yes, we have the latest. I think we have these parking enforcement sticks, they call it. They take a photo of your license plate and the illegal parking spots, and you get a ticket in the mail. But it's only about 3 feet high, so I wonder if they're going to vandalize it. But they have 60 of these, but they need them. These dumb drivers here in Albuquerque, this is used for cars parked in, blocking crosswalks. They have those fire lanes is painted bright red. They're parked there. Now we have bicycle lanes. There are 5 cars parked on the bicycle lanes. And bus lanes. It's painted yellow, and it says bus parking lane, and they park their cars there. I mean, they need to do this, so they're going to get more. But
so I don't want to speak on her behalf, but I'm pretty sure, at least here in Keene, I don't know how different the parking laws are in Albuquerque, but I'm pretty sure Bonnie was able to beat her parking ticket by asking the very simple question, do you have evidence that I'm the one that parked the car there? Right? And the short answer was no. Dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
So if they take all these pictures of parked cars and all those Albuquerqueans going do you have evidence that I'm the one that parked the car there? Right? I can lend out my car to any number of friends or people who were driving it, and they're the ones that owe the ticket because they're the ones who parked there.
Well, I think whoever owns the car is responsible here.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, it does make sense.
No, it doesn't, because if someone drove my car, which I own, I shouldn't be responsible for a ticket.
But okay.
So if I rent a car from Hertz, and just park it in the middle of the crosswalk, Hertz is responsible because they're the owners?
Well, I mean, but when you're owning it, aren't you responsible while you're owning it?
No. You're not the operator. You're not the one who committed the crime.
That's right. You're responsible while you're operating it.
Yeah, you are responsible for why you're operating it.
But if the owner isn't operating it, then there's no evidence that they were at the time the crime was committed.
Well, over here, you get 90-second grace period. If you park there longer than 90 seconds, a minute and a half,
yeah.
I mean, you might go through, and then you get issued out a ticket.
Then the camera has to take a picture of the operator of the vehicle along with the license plate, and then not mail it to the address of the license plate holder, right? But mail it to the operator, which may or may not be the same person.
Well, I
could probably do that now with facial recognition, anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know about the parking. It's just I don't know, but the drivers here are obnoxious. They don't have much common sense. Look at the places I mentioned. They park in the crosswalk.
I generally feel that way about your entire state.
I have driven in Albuquerque, and what Sarah is saying there is true. They're very
Oh,
annoying.
you have driven here?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
The way you pull up in a left-hand lane and everybody just kind of lines up slightly to the right of the person that they're that they're behind, and then pretty soon they're out into the forward lane, and it just for some reason they all do it, and not only that, but like you can't see around. It's a nightmare. Nobody there has any self-awareness.
I feel like I'm generally good at adapting. So if and when I do end up in Boston, which thankfully hasn't been in a long time, I just amp up the aggression and drive like a Bostonian.
Yeah, that's how you.
And
gotta
same
do
with
it.
New York.
That's how you got to do it.
Yeah. And the wonderful thing, I don't know about Albuquerque, but the wonderful thing about Boston is what I learned like the first time driving there is you can go any direction you want from any lane you want at any time you want.
Yeah, because people are ready for that.
And they're waiting. So that makes getting around Boston very easy.
It does.
You're never in the wrong
learned
spot.
that
You go like,
too.
oh man, I never miss a turn.
Yeah,
because
you
I just turn
pull,
where I
you
need
just
to.
pull a crazy move.
Yeah.
And people will let you in.
Right.
But not if you're trying to be polite about it. You have to.
You
do
don't
it
have to be
crazy.
polite. There's no politeness in Boston.
No,
That's
if
the beauty.
if you're driving politely, they'll never let you in.
Right. Yeah. And that's why I feel like I'm fairly good at adapting. You just amp it up. And like I'm one of you guys now.
Mm-hmm.
Parking the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to park the car.
Next to the harbor.
yeah, but New Mexico drivers are terrible. I'm glad you sympathize. They don't ever use the signal light. You have no idea what they're going to do until they get there at the last minute.
Yeah.
So, and then they park. Well, if we had a road diet, we had one of these road, 2 car lanes, 1 yellow paint line in the middle, and 2 car lanes going the other way. So they put a bicycle lane, and you got 10 cars parked there, and the bicycles can't use that lane. They think it's a parking lane. So that's what it's for.
Bicycles belong on the sidewalk.
Yeah, when I was a youngster, riding my bike around all the time, and somebody would park their car like over the sidewalk or something, I'd sometimes just jump right off my bike and let it crash into the side of their car, and then pick it up and keep riding.
Yep.
Wow. That's what you get.
Yeah.
So
But
I
you
think
know,
that's
you're
a better
responsible.
enforcement too than the cameras and whatnot. Thanks for the call tonight, Sarah. Let us know what's on your mind by calling 603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke tearfully this week after the deaths of 9 people in a mass shooting in Western Canada. He told the people of the small town of Tumbler Ridge, "The nation mourns with you." Carney cancelled a trip to the Munich security conference following the shooting.
Parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers in Tumbler Ridge will wake up without someone they love. The nation mourns with you. Canada stands by you. I want to thank and pass on a number of world leaders who've reached out directly to me in solidarity and compassion. France, United Kingdom, His Majesty himself, Norway, Finland, India, United Arab Emirates, many others. The world is with you.
China has lashed out at the United Kingdom's decision to expand a visa program for Hong Kong residents, calling it despicable. Britain made the announcement following the sentencing of pro-democracy media mogul Jimmy Lai to 20 years in prison under a national security law. Laura Westbrook reports.
The United Kingdom announced that the British National Overseas or B&O visa scheme would allow children of status holders at the time of the 1997 handover to be able to apply for the route independently of their parents. It was in response to a 20-year prison sentence by vocal critic of Beijing Jimmy Lai. The 78-year-old founder of the now shuttered Apple Daily newspaper was convicted of conspiring to collude with foreign forces and a separate charge of sedition in his high-profile national security trial. The Chinese embassy in London called the visa expansion reprehensible and interference in China's internal affairs. The scheme was launched in 2021 after Beijing imposed a sweeping national security law on Hong Kong. Since then, more than 160,000 Hong Kongers have moved to the UK.
US Secretary of State Marco Rubio warned this week that the world is heading into a new era of geopolitics. The comments came as he joined a huge gathering of world leaders at the Munich Security Conference. William Denselow reports from the Bavarian city.
Kicking off the Munich Security Conference, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz warned that we're in an era of big power politics and that the rules-based order is under threat. This gathering of more than 50 heads of state or government is an opportunity to discuss how to respond to this new reality. European powers are expected to lay out a vision of a continent that's less reliant on the US for its security. Over the next few days, a number of global conflicts will be discussed, including the war in Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelensky is at the conference and calls on Europe to do more to achieve an independent and strong defence industry.
The Bangladesh Nationalist Party declared victory in national elections, calling it the beginning of a new era. It is the first time Bangladesh went to the polls after former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's government was toppled after a youth protest. India is closely watching how ties with its eastern neighbour may now change, as Ishan Garg reports from New Delhi.
BNP leaders say the win gives them a mandate to, quote, restore democracy and rebalance foreign policy after years of what critics called one-party dominance under former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. India has long viewed Hasina's party, the Awami League, as a reliable partner on security, trade and connectivity, from cracking down on insurgent groups along the border to granting transit access to India's northeast. A BNP-led government, however, is seen as more skeptical of New Delhi and potentially more open to deepening ties with China, raising questions over future defense cooperation, river water sharing and border management. For now, India is expected to publicly welcome the verdict while quietly testing signals from the BNP on whether hard-won agreements of the past decade will be protected or reopened.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expressed doubt that an agreement can be reached with Iran before he returned to Israel after a meeting with President Trump. Blake Sifton reports from Tel Aviv.
Prime Minister Netanyahu said that President Trump believes Iran could be persuaded to accept a good deal, but the Israeli leader said that he does not hide his own skepticism about the possibility of reaching any agreement with Iran. Netanyahu said if a deal is reached, it must include elements that are vital to Israel, including Iran's ballistic missile program and support for regional proxy forces. His comments come amid widespread reports that a second U.S. carrier group is being deployed to the Middle East to further bolster U.S. forces in the region.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
The Subway restaurant chain has reacted with shock this week after executives discovered that many customers are apparently purchasing footlong sandwiches and eating the entire 12 inches by themselves. A spokesperson for the company addressed reporters this morning.
This is not how our products are intended to be consumed. Our footlong subs have always been meant to be shared among 2 or more friends. Eating an entire foot of food shouldn't be possible for most people, but they've been doing it somehow, and it needs to stop.
To encourage healthier eating habits, Subway is clarifying its marketing, adjusting language on menus and in television commercials like this one. $5 footlongs? Wow, that's $2.50 per person. Subway's corporate leadership says they were horrified to learn of the misunderstanding.
It's frightening. I mean, you don't see people eating entire pizzas by themselves. We even cut the footlongs in half into 2 regular-sized sandwiches before handing them to you. But I guess that wasn't clear enough.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. Talk radio you control. Give us a call. The phone number here is 603-283-6160. And I'd like to thank Chris for being an amplifier with us here at Free Talk Live. That means that Chris went to amps.freetalklive.com and signed up to support the show. AMPS stands for Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support. Thanks again to Chris and everyone who supports us. Again, that's amps.freetalklive.com if you'd like to check out the perks and benefits of becoming an amplifier. In the studio tonight, it's Stu,
Riley O'Bill,
and Richie Rich.
We have a caller on the line, so we're just going to go straight to the phones. Caller in San Antonio, Texas. You're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Come on!
Oh, goody.
Capitalist. You
What's
know,
up,
the
Skeeter?
idea behind...
He moved to San Antonio?
The
Is
idea
that at his
behind
mom's house?
eminent domain. Doesn't matter. Does that invalidate my arguments?
Yes.
Is that how petty
No, you
libertarians-
invalidate your own arguments.
You have
Okay,
to have a valid
invalidate
argument
this.
for it to be invalidated.
No, hanging up on me, it doesn't invalidate my arguments either. So the idea behind eminent domain is a sound one, right?
No.
The underutilization of property is not caused by government. You can see the lock-in system. It also incentivizes underutilization. You see tons of abandoned property and dead and rotting malls and empty storefronts because that's what the lock-in system incentivizes, hoarding and underutilization. That's why great innovative thinkers like me and Glenn Weil propose market-type solutions.
Government
Like in
is
my
not a
case,
market
a complete
solution.
market solution.
That's the
Oh my
opposite of
God.
a market solution.
Like, would you stop him from interrupting? He's not even addressing what I just said. I was talking
I
about
directly addressed what you said.
Absolutely
No, he didn't.
addressing what you
I
just
was-
said.
Directly.
I was talking about my system and Glenn Weil's. Do you know what those are?
No.
Well, you know what mine is, but do you know what?
No, but if you're proposing
Did any of
that,
them- do you know
if
if
you're
any of them
proposing that the
involve
use
government?
of government intervention is somehow a market solution to a problem, you're either
No, I didn't-
purposefully
I
being
didn't say
deceptive
that.
or you
I
don't
didn't say
understand
that.
the words.
See, she's interrupting. So here's what I said. The underutilization of property is not caused by government. That's all I said about government. I didn't say it was a market solution. I said the property systems, me and Glenn Weil, are more market solutions than either a lock-in system is a government solution. Did you know that? Because the market doesn't adopt those type of systems. So
The market
let me
does
talk
not
about our
adopt
system.
private property.
No, the lock-in system. Like we don't know what private property is in a market system, right? We can debate. I have logical, rational arguments. You guys have just religion, right?
I think you've got it backwards. I'm pretty sure the market is very good at deducing what private property is.
No, but libertarians don't know how it's deduced, right? I invoke the property and the profit and loss system, the profit and loss incentive.
You invoke
That
it,
makes
and we
rational
reject
sense.
it.
And I invoke evolution. You guys
and we reject
don't realize it, but Locke's system is derived from religion, not from any rational argument. And you've foolishly adopted it just because Rothbard adopted it. You haven't questioned how the market would adopt such nonsensical ethics.
I don't find it to be nonsensical. Like
it's nonsensical with respect to
the homestead and transfer principle seems pretty sound. And if you don't like that, right, what I have introduced to you any number of times at this point is the defensive principle, which means like you have to be able to defend the property you claim to have.
That's incorporated in my system.
Well, then you stole it from me.
You have to pay.
And I'm glad you're finally listening and paying attention.
You have to pay for the defense. And the fact that your opponent may outbid you for it.
You don't have to pay for the defense. The defense may have a cost.
Hold on.
But you can easily do it by yourself.
You're derailing me. I wanted to first talk about Glenn Wow.
Because your train is garbage. It should be back in the shop.
No, because you can't make sense. You can't make sense of your system within the profit and loss with the profit and loss incentive.
Look, and I've also told you this. I don't know if I've gotten this out on Free Talk Live. Like the problem, the reason you always argue with us, Skeeter, is that there's a fundamental disagreement on principles, right? Like libertarians value private property, and we've established our morals and ethics based on that. You value like profitability and use. And you've like created your system based on that. And they're incompatible. It doesn't matter if it's logical or not.
It doesn't matter.
They're incompatible moralities.
So in a market, it doesn't matter what you want, it's what you can demand. And demand is how much you're willing to pay for it. Right? You agree or not? This is ultimately how defense is paid for.
No, demand has nothing to do. Demand has nothing to do with willingness to pay. You said, "Do I agree or not?" You asked a question. I'm answering your question.
Wait, what you say has nothing to do with willingness to pay? Demand. Yes, it does. Can someone correct this? Can someone look up the economic definition of demand? And correct him.
This is getting pretty boring
if he's
for
wrong,
me.
Shut him up.
Can you do a skip to the end?
No, he's challenging me. He's challenging me on definition. Right? So, hold on. Let me look it up. If he's wrong, shut him up for the next 15 minutes.
There's a demand curve, right? That is like the amount demanded.
In economics, demand is the quantity of a good and service that customers are willing and able to purchase at varying prices during a given period.
Yes, at varying prices. It's a curve.
Oh my God, he's wrong.
It's not willingness to pay.
Are willing and able to purchase. That's the key. That's the key phrase. Come on, man.
Yeah, but
shut up now. Right?
Okay, so
if you can't outbid, so look.
Skeeter, I've been polite and I've let you talk, but let me point out where you're going to run into trouble with this idea.
No, you haven't. No, first off, I just proved him wrong. Right? He interrupted me saying my definition of demand was wrong. I just proved him wrong.
No.
He's been interrupting me and he's been wrong all the time.
Because there's different demands at different price points. And my demand for product has nothing to do with my willingness and ability to pay.
I might take your side on this one, Skeeter. Is that
finally, God.
But it's getting so boring that I'm almost about to hang up on you. So you better get to the end.
No,
like your overarching idea here, or I'm going to drop you.
How eminent domain works in a market system. How aggression can forcefully transfer with so let me talk about Glenn Wow's system. While it does utilize government, it's somewhat in between my solution and what government is now, right? In his solution, it's called the cost system. This guy is a systematic thinker. This guy's a mathematical economist from Princeton, associate professor at University of Chicago, and chief system developer for Microsoft, right?
So appeal to authority?
This guy actually uses economics and not the voodoo of Austrian economics, right? It's not
common sense of Austrian economics.
It's not common sense. It's voodoo. You wouldn't be able to derive it on your own. You have to read it first and pretend it makes sense, right? You'd never come up with this. You'd never come up with praxeology on your own.
I wouldn't come up with Keynesian economics on my own either.
Oh my God.
It makes less sense than the Austrians.
Keynesian and Austrian economics.
Keynesian economics makes sense if what you're trying to do is build a public dishonestly out of all of their wealth.
Which I would never come up with on my own because it's not my goal.
No.
Indeed.
It's the goal of the government, which is why they utilize it.
Our systems aren't based on just theft, right? It's
yours is.
People from
yours is absolutely based on theft, couched in payment,
right? For the good of society, right? We can't have someone just first use a piece of land and just let it go to waste if they want. That is not
yes,
a right,
you can.
a natural right.
Because that is their right if they can defend it.
Yeah, from what have you derived that from, other than adopting it from Locke and Rothbard? What logic are you using to derive that? This is not objective.
Human history.
This is nonsensical religion. Intuition. No, you've grown up in this system.
No.
The system and the religions before that adopted that system.
I've given you examples of it.
Always fail.
Right, the billionaire in the Amazon, that bought up a whole bunch of Amazonian forest just to leave it pristine. Like, you have to be able to leave property pristine if that is your desire.
It's in the government system, right? Like, if you look at
it doesn't have to be. That's why we're going off the rails again. Is because you always think like you need some government oversight, and you don't. You just have to have the ability to defend it if someone wants to encroach, which is just self-defense extended.
So in our property systems, both Glenn Weil and I's, right? There's a high bidder system. In his, you have to declare what the property is worth to you.
If I'm okay, so if I have my property,
I'm not done yet.
I don't care. I don't care. If I have my property and you're bidding against me,
oh my God,
to whom do I pay if I win the bid?
The person who's the most efficient enforcers.
So
just like
so we've got me and you, Skeeter, and we've got this piece of property. Hold on, let's flesh this out,
Skeeter.
Let's flesh this out.
Listen to the example.
I can explain my system.
Okay, thanks for the call.
So I'll flesh out the example with Riley then.
Okay.
Like, Riley, I've got this water bottle here.
Okay.
And it's my water bottle. Right? And you want this water bottle.
Which one?
This one right here.
Okay.
How much do you want to bid for that water bottle?
$10.
$10. Okay, so I got a bid for $10. Right? Now, I still want this water bottle and I don't want to sell it to Riley.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to bid $11 to keep my water bottle.
Right.
To whom does my $11 go? Does it go to Riley because I was bidding against him for what was already mine? Does it stay with me? And if it stays with me, then this whole debate is effectively useless, because if Riley bids $1 million, I'll just bid $1,000,001 and keep my property.
Right. And so what you're demonstrating there is that Skeeter has this ridiculous notion that value is objective universally, and that people would never pay a different price for a thing because eggs are only worth $5.99 to every single human on the planet.
Sure.
And that's the way,
and
it's so nonsensical.
Let's assume that I have to pay the money to Riley, right? Like I bid 11. Now, in order to keep my water bottle, Riley is now $11 richer, right? What's to stop anyone from just bidding on anything they want in order to amass the wealth by being outbid by the original property owner, right? Like, I give my $11 to Riley. I go, hey, Stu, I bid $12 for that cup, right? You go like, I'll bid 13. Now I've got 13, and you still got your cup, but I'm just made it up on the back end somewhere else, right? So you have all these people or organizations, whatever, just bidding against property because they know that they're going to get the income from the counter bid. Right, or they're going to get the property, with whatever money they want if they can find a willing buyer.
Yeah.
And if you say that, oh no, you're going to bid, but the payment's going to go to a third party, so Riley bids 10, I bid 11, right, and the money has to go to you, Stu, for some weird reason, right? Now you're just entering a government into the AB transaction to like divvy up the money.
Yeah, and I don't see how that could be susceptible to fraud or any.
So now to keep my water bottle, I've got to pay Stu $11. Or if Riley wants the water bottle, I get the 10 and I just sell it to him, and that's a normal transaction.
Yeah, I keep hoping
or you,
one of these days,
come in and collect a portion of it.
Keep hoping one of these days that guy's going to call and he's suddenly going to be able to make everything he says actually make sense. But I don't think
never going to happen.
I don't think he's going to be able to.
It's fundamentally flawed a priori from the opening statement, which is why I cut him off every time at the opening statement.
That's how I like to do it, too.
You can't
just get
build
right
upon nonsense. You just get more nonsense.
Yeah, he'll say a nonsensical thing, and then he'll use that to build an argument that also doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Yeah. You cut him off of that first contradiction, though, and I find that to be the most successful tactic.
And he invites it because he uses rhetorical techniques like saying right, which I am also guilty of, but I am right when I state those things. So when he says, like, this is just fundamental to whatever, right? Like, that's an invitation to say, no, incorrect. We must work backwards and get to a point of agreement, because this is not it. We cannot build our arguments on this fundamental disagreement. And the other thing that I, might have been washed away with the overtalk is there's a fundamental moral difference between his and our philosophies, and it's incommensurable. There's no overcoming it, because his whole system is predicated on profit and use, and our system, right, the libertarian, Rothbardian, Lockean system, whatever you want to call it, is like predicated on private ownership of property, which in itself is an extension of ownership of oneself, however you want to phrase that.
I have my own personal misgivings about the notion of property ownership, but I don't really talk about it a lot because, I like you libertarians and I don't want you to dislike.
Are you a Georgist?
No, I don't know. It'll get pretty complex. We should probably just read the story that I started.
I would then suggest, like, check your premise. Because if you're getting that complex, right, you probably deviated somewhere like.
I guess I could give you the short version of my idea there. None of us humans made anything here. We may have modified or whatever certain things, but we don't. No matter has been created, and no matter has been destroyed.
Okay.
We only change things around, right? And so. Kind of in my mind,
that's somewhat based in physics, but go ahead.
In my mind, in order for anybody to claim that they own any of the matter here, which wasn't created by them, just seems a little, I don't know.
I mean,
over the top or
the homestead principle is like first use. Though.
I get it.
They transformed it in some form.
Highest and best use. I'm down with that, but does it mean you like own it? Because when you die, is it still yours? Should it be?
Well, highest and best use is more like Skeeter's thing. That's why he wants to be able to steal it if you're not utilizing it in its highest and best use.
Okay, but a single mom that's a good person and is raising good children and needs a place to do so, maybe has a higher and better claim than somebody who can turn a huge profit from that land.
And
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but what Dave really brought up earlier with eminent domain is that's no longer the case. Like in the country right now, right? Higher and best use is most profitable, biggest tax revenue, and that single mom would get iced out of that home.
Well, that's because the Western culture is adopted as their god, the almighty dollar.
Sure, but I mean, we're seeing this right now. This is also part of the whole AI debate, right? Like consumers are being priced out of technology because corporations are buying up inventory 2 or 3 years out to build these big AI data centers, right? And they've like the bidding system dictates that they have the higher and better use, right? Because they're able to purchase it.
So does that mean like Bitcoin miners are outrageously expensive right now, or?
Those specifically, I don't know, but everything is going up. Like memory is going up, hard drives are going up, RAM is going up, and the current production facilities can't produce anymore. And they're sold out through like 2027, sometimes 2028 to big corporations.
I'm certain somebody somewhere is building a manufacturing facility that can keep up with this newfound demand.
Maybe. But like I said on this show like several weeks ago, putting that facility together is like a 5 to 10 year ordeal, right? And who knows what it's going to look like in 5 to 10 years.
Has been historically, but now robots can put factories together in 2 weeks, and you know what I mean?
Well,
So, like,
I asked the same question during the pandemic when people were like rebuilding their houses and lumber was escalating in price. This would be a good time to increase capacity. And like, well, no, it's atypical, and they're not going to invest in the technology when things settle down, and now they got overcapacity.
Yeah.
And you're going to put millions, maybe billions of dollars into a facility that may not even like tool up to what the needs are 5 to 10 years out.
They may, though. I think some people did end up setting up lumber factories and are still operating at a tidy profit, because the lumber prices did come down a bit, and then they kind of went back up a little bit, and they just sort of stayed there. Lumber's expensive compared to what it used to be.
Well, yeah, but that would mean that there's excess profits in lumber that some entrepreneur could tool up a lumber facility and leach into, which would drive the price back down.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I think a bunch of people did, and the price of lumber now is at that point where you don't start a new thing.
Okay.
And if you did, maybe it worked out, but anyways, yeah, markets are tricky things. This is why the USSR couldn't put a price on anything, because they wouldn't let the market figure out a price on anything. Right. They had to keep opening the Sears catalog to find out what things should cost.
Yeah. So, and your question about like ownership after death, well, if you put a lot of work into your property, right? The only difference is
what,
like,
you should be able to keep it after you're dead?
Or pass it on generationally.
Yeah.
Because the only solution to not doing that, right, is just put it in, like, sell it before you die. Right? Like, if you're getting old, you know, like, oh, I don't want to get hit with this inheritance tax, or I don't want to lose this, like, Chateau.
But all
Dave
of this
Seville.
only happens because of the scarcity mindset, when you can fit the entire world's population in Texas.
Okay. But I'm just saying, like, I would, if I knew I was on the edge of death, right, I would give that mansion to my kids early, because I'm allowed. If I'm alive, I can sell it to whomever I want. So
I guess so, but I don't know, like, being handed things as an inheritance, I don't see as a universally good thing anyways. Sometimes that's actually a very bad thing to be handed, like,
yes, and
an
which
advantage early in life,
right,
ends up crippling you.
And I don't have the statistics in front of me, but it was posited at one point that because of our system in the United States, generational wealth only lasts like 3 generations, because they get the handout, right, in generations 2 and 3.
Are fat and sassy.
They didn't have the work ethic to generate that level of wealth, right, and they squander it. And then that like family generation is gone by generation 3, and generation 4 is like tightening up the bootstraps and got to like rebuild the wealth. And so generational wealth like fluctuates as certain families rise and certain families fall, because they're at different stages of that spectrum. So you're right in a way, but the market sorts itself out. They lose it all, within 3 generations.
Yeah, sometimes the market sorts itself out, though, and many tragedies ensue, which could have otherwise been avoided. I don't know.
Well, after break, then what's the alternative? Because if the alternative is like government intervention, that's not a good thing either. That's a built-in tragedy.
Definitely not government intervention the way it's been historically played out, because that shows even less concern for the individual. Give us a call, 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live.
When commercials come on, don't push the button. Instead, listen. Even if you don't sell things for a living, you're still selling in the various conversations and transactions that make up your busy day. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're a job seeker. So take a lesson from Madison Avenue. Often the fewer words, the more effective the message. Like Jiffy Lube, where you never need an appointment, or the Office Max ad that says, you supply the ambition, we supply everything else. How about online ticket broker StubHub.com, the way in when it's sold out, or CyberCupidMatch.com's seductive, go ahead, it's okay to look. How cleverly and succinctly can you distill your message? For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke tearfully this week after the deaths of 9 people in a mass shooting in Western Canada. He told the people of the small town of Tumbler Ridge, "The nation mourns with you." Carney cancelled a trip to the Munich Security Conference following the shooting.
Parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers in Tumbler Ridge will wake up without someone they love. The nation mourns with you. Canada stands by you. I want to thank and pass on a number of world leaders who've reached out directly to me in solidarity and compassion. France, United Kingdom, His Majesty himself, Norway, Finland, India, United Arab Emirates, many others. The world is with you.
China has lashed out at the United Kingdom's decision to expand a visa program for Hong Kong residents, calling it despicable. Britain made the announcement following the sentencing of pro-democracy media mogul Jimmy Lai to 20 years in prison under a national security law. Laura Westbrook reports.
The United Kingdom announced that the British National Overseas or B&O visa scheme would allow children of status holders at the time of the 1997 handover to be able to apply for the route independently of their parents. It was in response to a 20-year prison sentence by vocal critic of Beijing Jimmy Lai. The 78-year-old founder of the now shuttered Apple Daily newspaper was convicted of conspiring to collude with foreign forces and a separate charge of sedition in his high-profile national security trial. The Chinese embassy in London called the visa expansion reprehensible and interference in China's internal affairs. The scheme was launched in 2021 after Beijing imposed a sweeping national security law on Hong Kong. Since then, more than 160,000 Hong Kongers have moved to the UK.
US Secretary of State Marco Rubio warned this week that the world is heading into a new era of geopolitics. The comments came as he joined a huge gathering of world leaders at the Munich Security Conference. William Denselow reports from the Bavarian city.
Kicking off the Munich Security Conference, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz warned that we're in an era of big power politics and that the rules-based order is under threat. This gathering of more than 50 heads of state or government is an opportunity to discuss how to respond to this new reality. European powers are expected to lay out a vision of a continent that's less reliant on the US for its security. Over the next few days, a number of global conflicts will be discussed, including the war in Ukraine.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. Give us a call, let us know what you're thinking about. The phone number here is 603-283-6160. And Free Talk Live is brought to you by LibertyMinded.com. Official Free Talk Live gear like t-shirts and hoodies are available at LibertyMinded.com. Plus, you'll find a unique collection of cool and funny Liberty-oriented clothing at LibertyMinded.com. That's LibertyMinded.com. In the studio tonight, it's Stu,
Riley O'Bill,
and Richie Rich.
Okay, we're going to try to maybe read some of the story that I teased early on in the show.
Such a tease.
I know, right?
You like it.
I'm going to grab my phone while you're reading it.
This is a story from... You'll get that one if you heard the first segment. This is from The Intercept. Marine detained in Minneapolis says feds copied his phone without a warrant. He was observing after Alex Preddy's killing. He says feds detained him at gunpoint, sampled his DNA, scanned his face, and cloned his phone. At first, Stephen Sari said federal immigration agents seemed to think he was one of them. Sari, a Marine Corps combat vet who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, went to the scene of Alex Preddy's killing in Minneapolis less than an hour after federal agents fired the fatal shots.
Do they have a picture of him?
Mm.
Is he a minority by chance?
I don't know. You'd have to look it up.
Okay.
They only have a picture of his hands cuffed on this one.
Does it look foreign?
Do his hands look foreign?
Does
I'm
he have
not
foreign
sure.
fingers?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Just curious, because he looks like one of them, right? Like someone they should be checking the citizenship of? Or like he looks like one of them, like he dressed up like
so
an
that's
Ice
the
Age.
thing, is a lot of those Ice Asians are brown-skinned dudes.
Okay.
So if it's a matter of how you're dressed. And this goes on to say, he was wearing his Marine camouflage and carrying a lawfully owned 9mm Glock handgun on his right hip, as he does every day.
Also,
He told
according to the
Intercept.
president, he was out there looking for trouble then.
Yeah, apparently that's not within your rights.
Don't bring a gun.
Agents on the scene thought I was undercover, Sari said. They kept asking what agency I was with. When Sari told them he was not with any agency, their demeanor shifted. Federal immigration agents soon aimed M4-style rifles at his head. Footage reviewed by The Intercept shows.
He should have just said the Marines. What agency are you with? United States Marine Corps.
Their fingers on the trigger less than a minute's walk away from where Pretty was killed. More and more Border Patrol and ICE agents gathered around me, Sari said. Then they moved in with rifles and handguns drawn. The encounter raises questions about how federal agents assessed threats, used force, and made arrest decisions in the immediate aftermath of Pretty's killing. In Sari's case, he and his attorney told The Intercept federal agents took scans and samples of his biometric data and made a copy of his phone without obtaining a warrant. Before the agents apprehended him, Sari said he was standing on the sidewalk observing events, not recording, protesting, or engaging with federal agents until they approached him. When they did, Sari said agents issued conflicting commands and attempted to handcuff him without first securing his firearm. And
So-
that's how they do it.
Well-
in case you're wondering, if you run into these guys, they're going to give you, one of them's going to give you a command, and another one's going to give you another command, and you can't do both.
Yeah, and here, this is what bothers me a little bit, and this is why I bring up like the legitimacy of authority, right? He's carrying his weapon holstered on his hip for protection, right? If he was run up on by like a street gang of Bloods and Crips, or MS-13 or whatever, right? Like, what was he going to do with that gun on his hip? Was he going to draw and like engage in a gunfight?
He was going to die if he did.
Then the gun is effectively useless there on his hip, right? Why carry a weapon of self-defense if you're not going to use it when there is a threat against your life?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
but you can't draw down on ICE agents.
It sounds like he survived this one, and he would have definitely died had he drawn it.
Then again, the weapon of self-defense holstered on his hip is effectively useless if there's never a time to like use it.
Sounds like you're against open carry?
No, I'm against not using it.
Oh, you think you should have drawn and shot at the federal
I'm
agents?
saying if it was any other gang, right? Like the likelihood is like that's the time to use it, right? The four guys approach you in a threatening manner, and you've got a gun, right?
I think there was a lot more than four.
Threat.
I think there was a lot more than four.
like
If it's
to me,
four,
Richie-
maybe you draw. But he was talking about like 14.
Okay.
So at that point, you don't draw. Even if they're just street thugs, you don't draw, and you hope they just beat you up, take your gun and your wallet, and leave you alive with
You
maybe
hope,
some
but-
broken ribs and stuff.
At the same time, I think to Richie's point, these people act like a bunch of hoodlums and gang members because they have the privilege of being part of a gang, essentially, except this one is legitimized by a flag and rituals and
Yeah, the president will say, oh, it's okay.
Yeah, well, and I would like to think that, and I've got only anecdotal evidence for this, and it's, some of it's fictional and some of it's stories that have been told to me, right? So, like, I was told of a story of a family member in Utah who was carrying his pistol and was approached by, like, a gang of thugs, right? And he shot the first one. He's like, I got 14 more. How many more you want bullet holes? Right? And some of them left and some of them got shot, or maybe I don't remember the whole story. Right? But like if you shoot, right, some of them are going to run, and then you don't have 14 to deal with anymore.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a street gang, right?
Yeah.
But this gang, the ICE agents, have this air of legitimacy.
Well, those guys were even bigger scaredy cats than street thugs. I think if he had preemptively started shooting at them, they would have scattered all over the place, and yeah, he could have. Well, he probably could have been fairly effective in that route. But
preemptive might be strong.
But once they had noticed him,
once they approached and started like getting their rifles into the ready position, right. Maybe that's the time to like let them know that this is not the time for that sort of behavior.
Right. And it sounds like he did not determine that was the time for that sort of behavior.
Which is probably safe, right? Because he survived the encounter.
Sounds like
but it. my hypothetical question or whatever is like, when is the time? If you're caring for self-defense and you've got rifles pointed at your head with fingers on the trigger, right, from a gang approaching you for no apparent reason because you're not committing a crime, you're not an illegal immigrant.
That is operating basically outside of any rules.
When is the right time?
Yeah,
and if there's no right time,
I see your point
then
there.
Donald Trump is right. Just don't take the gun. if you're gonna like bow down and kneel and kiss the boot anyway, just disarm yourself and you'll all be safer.
He said officers briefly positioned his right hand on his handgun while pulling his arm behind his back, leaving him unsure how they expected him to comply. Standard law enforcement firearms training typically emphasizes securing a weapon before attempting to restrain an armed person. Sari said he feared agents might shoot him when his hand brushed the gun, even though he said officers, not his own movements, placed it there. Yeah, that's the type of tactics they will absolutely use. We can get more into this story, but right now we got a caller on the line, so we're going to go to the phones. David, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hello.
Hi.
I was gonna say that this whole use of ICE in this aggressive manner is not going to last. It's just it's because what this is doing is making doubt in the government. People are going to be less likely to support the government, and for that reason, this use of ICE is a threat to the system.
Well, good then, because you shouldn't be supporting the government. Everything should be a threat to the system, because that's what good citizens do. Keep the system in check.
The extremism that we're seeing with the ICE agents is not going to last, because it will breed a counter reaction from the public. I think a good example of that is the gentleman who just got elected mayor of New York.
Zoran Mamdani.
Right. There'll be more people like him because people are there's a general reaction to the extremism.
Yeah.
So, I think that unfortunately we have to put up with this in the short term, but in the long term, it's not gonna be there.
I don't like the alternative, right? They're all worried about the midterms, or Trump is worried about the midterms and losing the midterms. And like, okay, so then you have a bunch of Democrats now in office, like promoting their social programs.
There's a balance between that one extreme and another, and depending on how the economy goes, you'll probably see a whole lot of Democrats in there.
Yeah, because I don't like that either, is my point. Yeah, I don't need raised taxes to fund social programs.
I have a hard time differentiating.
Okay.
Trump is very Democratic.
Yeah. He's on record, man. Like in like the 80s on Oprah. If I'm ever going to run for president, they'll be as a Republican because those guys are easier to fool.
Yeah, there was that, I don't know, very very fancy gala dinner he was at one time, and he was like, this guy over here, he used to love me when I was a Democrat.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if this is fascism now, then you wouldn't have counter news programs. You wouldn't have judges stopping some of these actions, they would just take over all that. So it's not like, we're in a fascist situation.
We're just ramping up to it.
Yeah, approaching.
He's still in the air, I mean, if this were fascist government, he'd probably be shot,
Sure.
So, I mean, that's is...
He allegedly was already shot.
What what they say is holding the line against the actual fascism is the amount of gun ownership in the United States that they still haven't been able to confiscate.
I'd say that's the last thread that it's all hanging by. There was
unless you're going to wear it on
but
your hip and let the fascists point rifles at you and disarm you.
Freedom of speech is somewhat intact still.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are saying what we want.
Pretty much, anyway.
Well, except that one of us, because of what they said and because of what they were doing, is now in a cage for, in the middle of an 8-year sentence.
That's why I say mostly intact. Yeah. Because that is absolutely, he is caged for his speech.
It's absolutely about speech.
Yep.
Well, I think that, gun ownership is a part of the culture. So
until it's not, that's the problem.
What you're saying, it's not part of the American culture.
No, I'm saying it's a part of the American culture until it's not. Right. My biggest problem is the law-abiding gun owner, right? Because if and when they do pass and change the law, the new law-abiding gun owner is going to comply with the new law.
That's right. You can have guns in Australia, don't you know?
Yeah. They had another round.
It's just a nightmare to be able to get them.
Yeah, and they just had another round of turn-em-ins.
Yeah.
So.
But you can still have guns in Australia. You just got to get the right permissions, and they're very expensive, and you'll most likely get denied anyways.
There was a guy who got arrested because he built his own shooting range in his basement, under his house, and the government found it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but private property, right? Not there.
Yep.
If you can't defend it, not really private.
Well, the propaganda is that, you have private property and you have all these rights, and yet, all of a sudden, hey, if somebody has a gun at a rally, then they're ready to go after them,
Yes. It's an illusion of rights.
The propaganda on any level, it keeps the system alive. That's what happens when, let's say there's a leader that is looking at the threat. They're going to try to discredit that leader. And then you see this kind of chorus of the news media and politicians, kind of all of a sudden come after this individual because they see that individual as a threat.
Yeah.
But
Donald Trump is going hard after Thomas Massey right up until the midterms.
Yeah, but anyway, I've put all this together in a book. I don't know if any of you be interested in getting a copy. I have a book called The System, and it just describes how things aren't really changing over time. So anyway.
Okay,
well,
cool.
Plug it. Where can we find this book?
Let's see. Can I, at some point off the air, give you my information? Is that possible?
I think I know how to do that. So I'll put you on hold after this call, and then you can hang on until the break. And I'll talk to you then.
All right.
Anyways, the name of your book is called The System?
The System, yeah. Uh-huh.
What's the author name?
Pume Kiasi.
You're going to have to spell it.
Okay. But the thing is, it's not in bookstores or anything. It's a self-published book. And
Okay.
So I would just, if I can get your information, I can mail it to you.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. You got anything else?
No, that's it for now.
All right. Thanks for the call, and I'll get that information from you here in a bit. All right.
Tried to help him. Who knows how many listeners would be interested in that if they too could get a handle on it.
When you call a radio show and they tell you to plug it,
You got to plug it, man.
Ready. Have all that information ready to go.
You don't get that courtesy from every radio show you call, man.
That's right. All right, back to this story. Agents arrested Sari and brought him to the Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building in Minneapolis.
Arrested on what charge? Standing where he's not supposed to stand.
Let's find out.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
that's okay.
Bury the
where
lead
he was
there.
Detained for at least 6 hours before being released without charges. So there you go.
Okay.
Not even charged.
They kidnapped him then.
Yeah. I mean, they call it arrest.
Sure. But like he was committing no criminal act. They approached him on the street whilst he was in military uniform, right? Pointed guns at him. He still committed no act.
Yeah, that's a very bad thing to do.
Took him away for 6 hours.
That's a very bad thing to do.
And not even charged him. Like what probable cause did they even have for the initial stop? He had a firearm on his hip in an area where you're legally allowed to open carry.
Yeah, he was looking at you.
Yeah.
Did it make you uncomfortable?
He blinked wrong.
Yeah.
And they're not even cops, right? So if he's not an illegal immigrant, they don't even have the jurisdiction to detain him at all.
Maybe it was the fact he was carrying a gun that set them off. Who knows?
That's what I'm saying. But if you're allowed to carry openly in Minnesota, right, or whatever township they're in Minnesota, right, that's not an arrestable offense.
I agree, but these are gangsters and they're going to act accordingly.
Yes. And if they were like, oh, I'm fearful for my life because this guy's like has a firearm, they call the local police department and they go like, hey, there's a guy out here with a pistol on his hip. Like they would get laughed at by local PD, right? Because like, no, he's allowed.
Yeah.
Right.
Lots of people in the city have guns, man.
Yeah.
Unless he's doing something with it, then don't call us.
Unless he's doing something with it or doing something illegal,
right?
That would then be an arrestable offense. You arrest him for that, disarm him, of course, right? Yep. And I don't even think that would be a problem in libertarian ANCAP society, right? If someone's doing something, if someone's doing something violent towards somebody else or stealing, right? Just detain them, figure it out.
Yeah, just handle that person.
Handle it.
Reached for comment. ICE referred the intercept to Customs and Border Protection. Neither CBP nor the Department of Homeland Security responded to a request for comment. I'm so shocked. Inside the federal building, Sari said agents shackled his hands and feet, photographed him, scanned his face, and forced him to provide a DNA sample by depressing his tongue and swabbing the inside of his mouth. He said agents denied him access to an attorney, even though they were present elsewhere in the building and in contact with civilians and federal officials that day.
Because this is not a real law enforcement arrest.
I asked for an attorney probably 100 times and was never given one, Sari said. I was never told why I was being arrested. Then Sari said they took my cell phone and cloned it. They actually told me they did that. Sari said agents did not ask him to unlock the device, nor did they provide a warrant, paperwork, or explanation authorizing the search. They took my cell phone and cloned it. They actually told me they did that. That's wild.
I agree. It is completely wild.
Every step of this process raises red flags, said Shauna Kiefer, the vice president of the Minnesota Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, who is now representing Sari. You don't get to detain someone without cause, deny them access to counsel, seize their phone, and then search or copy it without a warrant. No, you don't get to do that.
Yeah.
Does it?
Well, part of the reason why they get to do that is, number one, they did, but also without any charges. Like, it's not like they have to worry about it being like legal in court, right? Oh, this is not admissible because of how you acquired the information. He's never going to get to trial for whatever it is they stole the information for.
Right.
It's just a theft.
Right. What information? That was not right.
It's just a theft, a kidnapping and a theft by a gang of thugs dressed in ICE costumes.
Law enforcement may seize a phone during an arrest, but officers generally cannot access or duplicate its data without judicial authorization, said Nathan Wessler, deputy director of the American Civil Liberties Union speech.
Yeah, that's also legitimate law enforcement, quote unquote, legitimate, because it's us. But like the Minneapolis Police Department, right, couldn't get away with this for those reasons.
Right.
right? But ICE is not legitimate law enforcement, even by those standards.
He said the only exception involves narrow emergency circumstances, which typically do not apply once both a person and their phone are already in custody. Once the phone is secured and the person is secured, it's very hard to imagine what kind of emergency would justify searching or copying it without a warrant, Whistler said. Failure to get a warrant raises serious concerns of violating the Fourth Amendment, Whistler added, pointing to the 2014 Supreme Court case Riley v. California, in which the court found police are generally not allowed to search an arrested person's cell phone without a specific warrant.
Yeah, and again, these are not police. These are immigrations and customs enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, what is their purpose? And this is not it. So hopefully he's got an attorney and, going to be able to sue and maybe recoup some financial damage for this nonsense.
I would argue their purpose isn't really even rounding up illegals either. Their purpose is just to get a reaction, because that's how the social engineers like to do it. To that caller's point about this not having legs to last long, I agree. I don't know. I'm reminded of the brown shirts, and I think these guys will just get thrown right under the bus very soon. Like, a lot of them are going to end up in prison.
Okay. You're talking about the actual ICE enforcers or like the department itself?
No, the street thug agents that are out doing this kind of extrajudicial kidnapping and theft.
I mean, I think we talked about it a little bit last week, or if not, it was on Free Talk Live last week. The street thugs are already getting upset because they're not being paid properly, and like they're not getting their sign-on bonus and due course. And
there you go.
So there's already
the bus already approaches.
Yeah,
be prepared.
There's already infighting amongst them.
Yeah. I mean, that's historically that's the way it goes. I wouldn't be surprised to see it go any other way.
But I was promised 5 acres and a cow,
but
failed to deliver.
They didn't give me a cow, and the cow that tried to give me had no horns.
Don't get your hopes up too much, because the brown shirts were just replaced by something worse.
AI.
Yeah, I'm still not too worried about the AI thing. Somebody's got a lot of convincing to do to get me riled up about that. What do you think? Is AI going to take over this world? Give us a call, 603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live.
I spent 8.5 years of my life in prison, and I blame it squarely on the shoulders of Christianity and the stories that I was told. If my parents, if the people at the Christian school, if the people at church would have just explained morality to me as opposed to explaining heaven and hell as a reason for doing what was right and what was wrong, I think I would have understood. It's relatively easy. If you do the moral thing in life, your life is going to be better. You're going to sleep better at night. You're going to probably be much more prosperous.
Right.
They say crime doesn't pay. They say it for a reason.
Happen right here in this world. We don't have to wait for an afterlife to experience the consequences of our actions, whether good or bad,
If I would have just been given the gift of morality instead of the gift of some silly, crazy story, I would never have gone to prison.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern at freetalklive.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke tearfully this week after the deaths of 9 people in a mass shooting in Western Canada. He told the people of the small town of Tumbler Ridge, "The nation mourns with you." Carney cancelled a trip to the Munich Security Conference following the shooting.
Parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers in Tumbler Ridge will wake up without someone they love. The nation mourns with you. Canada stands by you. I want to thank and pass on a number of world leaders who've reached out directly to me in solidarity and compassion. France, United Kingdom, His Majesty himself, Norway, Finland, India, United Arab Emirates, many others. The world is with you.
China has lashed out at the United Kingdom's decision to expand a visa program for Hong Kong residents, calling it despicable. Britain made the announcement following the sentencing of pro-democracy media mogul Jimmy Lai to 20 years in prison under a national security law. Laura Westbrook reports.
The United Kingdom announced that the British National Overseas or B&O visa scheme would allow children of status holders at the time of the 1997 handover to be able to apply for the route independently of their parents. It was in response to a 20-year prison sentence by vocal critic of Beijing Jimmy Lai. The 78-year-old founder of the now shuttered Apple Daily newspaper was convicted of conspiring to collude with foreign forces and a separate charge of sedition in his high-profile national security trial. The Chinese embassy in London called the visa expansion reprehensible and interference in China's internal affairs. The scheme was launched in 2021 after Beijing imposed a sweeping national security law on Hong Kong. Since then, more than 160,000 Hong Kongers have moved to the UK.
US Secretary of State Marco Rubio warned this week that the world is heading into a new era of geopolitics. The comments came as he joined a huge gathering of world leaders at the Munich Security Conference. William Denselow reports from the Bavarian city.
Kicking off the Munich Security Conference, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz warned that we're in an era of big power politics and that the rules-based order is under threat. This gathering of more than 50 heads of state or government is an opportunity to discuss how to respond to this new reality. European powers are expected to lay out a vision of a continent that's less reliant on the US for its security. Over the next few days, a number of global conflicts will be discussed, including the war in Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelensky is at the conference and calls on Europe to do more to achieve an independent and strong defence industry.
The Bangladesh Nationalist Party declared victory in national elections, calling it the beginning of a new era. It is the first time Bangladesh went to the polls after former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's government was toppled after a youth protest. India is closely watching how ties with its eastern neighbour may now change, as Ishan Garg reports from New Delhi.
BNP leaders say the win gives them a mandate to, quote, restore democracy and rebalance foreign policy after years of what critics called one-party dominance under former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. India has long viewed Hasina's party, the Awami League, as a reliable partner on security, trade and connectivity, from cracking down on insurgent groups along the border to granting transit access to India's northeast. A BNP-led government, however, is seen as more skeptical of New Delhi and potentially more open to deepening ties with China, raising questions over future defence cooperation, river water sharing and border management. For now, India is expected to publicly welcome the verdict while quietly testing signals from the BNP on whether hard-won agreements of the past decade will be protected or reopened.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expressed doubt that an agreement can be reached with Iran before he returned to Israel after a meeting with President Trump. Blake Sifton reports from Tel Aviv.
Prime Minister Netanyahu said that President Trump believes Iran could be persuaded to accept a good deal, but the Israeli leader said that he does not hide his own skepticism about the possibility of reaching any agreement with Iran. Netanyahu said if a deal is reached, it must include elements that are vital to Israel, including Iran's ballistic missile program and support for regional proxy forces. His comments come amid widespread reports that a second U.S. carrier group is being deployed to the Middle East to further bolster U.S. forces in the region.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
After excitedly posting an image of a Lamborghini Rebenton to his Facebook account earlier this afternoon, 38-year-old little boy Nick Weber talked to Onion reporters about his passion for fast cars.
When I saw that car, I was like, whoa, it was so cool. I had to show it to all my friends. I like red cars the best, but only ones that are really, really fast. I can't wait to get one when I'm older. I'm going to get the fastest car in the whole world.
The Weber also frequently posts about his other interests, which include motorcycles, fighter jets, and Marvel superhero Iron Man. The nearly 40-year-old small child confirmed that sports cars are his favorite, and the picture of the bright yellow Lamborghini has already garnered 15 likes and 9 comments from other enthused middle-aged children who are friends with Weber on the social networking site.
My best friend Bradley, he sent me a picture of a blue convertible that's so awesome. It has these big wheels and even has a racing stripe on it.
After watching several online videos of fast cars and eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch, the home-owning little tyke went to his room to take a nap.
This is the Onion News Network.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. You can call 603-283-6160 to get your thoughts and ideas on the radio with us. Are you tired of the oppressive rules and moderation of the big tech social media sites? Our Mastodon server at social.freetalklive.com can set you free. Mastodon is free, open source, decentralized, and federated. Multiple apps are available for iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, and Linux. Social.freetalklive.com. In the studio tonight, you've got Stu,
Riley O'Bill,
and Richie Rich.
We were talking about ICE and CPB being bad boys again, but right now we're going to go to the phones where we
again and in perpetuity.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Indeed.
That's what they do. That's what they do best at.
That's their shtick.
And there's nothing they can do to like change that. They will always be an evil organization by their very nature.
Okay. I don't think I can disagree with that. Anyways, anonymous caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm calling to plug a book.
Did you already call?
No.
This is not David?
No.
Is this a mouth-breathing dullard?
That's a good one, because I called to talk about that commercial that was deeply repugnant that you just played.
Which one, James?
Had the clever... Hi, Riley. I'm glad you recognized my voice.
What, I don't get credit? I called you the mouth-breathing dullard.
Anyway, I'm sorry I took a cheap shot at you a couple weeks ago, Richie Rich, when I told you should lose that gnarly beard. You'd actually look lighter without it. But that's, if the women dig it, more power to you.
It was one woman that dug it, and then it's been hit and miss ever since.
Yeah, it's a good advice, though. Lose it. Anyway, it's gnarly. But I should like to talk about somebody that coined that clever put down. But the joke was I have a book to sell. It's called It Takes a Village Idiot, by the Village Idiot. But that was Dave, I can't imagine how great that read is going to be, as good as that joke bombed. Anyway, Riley, maybe I'll just ask you about that commercial you guys just played where a guy that literally hit a fellow human being with a wrench, and then the person was incapacitated. That former co-host of yours, a founder of that so-called church you're broadcasting from, that played that repugnant commercial?
No one knows what commercial you're talking about. At least no one at the desk, because I didn't.
The one where Mark Edgington complains about having spent 8.5 years in prison and blames the church on him not being edified to know that murder is wrong. And Riley, what Mark Edgington literally did when he was old enough to drive, old enough to take care of himself, after he watched somebody strangle somebody to death, emphasis, he watched somebody strangled to death. He gave the murderer a lift to the airport and said, "Hey, have a good one. Hope you don't come back around here anymore." And then years later, when I actually first started listening to your show, I found out that the murderer he helped get away, actually turned himself into the DMV, and Mark Edgington thought that was pretty funny because the guy tried to get a license.
What of it?
That's how. But okay, what of it? Mark Edgington, after spending 8.5 years in prison, after watching somebody commit murder, who could be down in Costa Rica or Honduras right now if he'd used his God-given brain and just left the country, like Mark Edgington did, who's living the high life right now because Bitcoin is doing really well. And what is it, Stu, what is Bitcoin valued in? The almighty dollar. It's not valued by anything else. It's backed up by idiots that buy for reasons that are usually criminal. But there are diehard anti-statists, and then there's the foreigners that buy it to get away from their legitimately gangster governments.
There's so much ignorance in what he just said, but he addressed you purposely, Riley, so I've kind of...
Then let me respond to it. You tell me how what I just said is ignorant, and let me respond, and I will shut up.
Okay, so Bitcoin isn't backed by the dollar. It might be currently priced in dollars, but it's also priced in whatever local currency you're at.
Wait, no,
so Canadians see Bitcoin priced in Canadian dollars.
You can find a Bitcoin to gold chart. You can find a Bitcoin to yen chart.
What's it backed by?
Not dollars, but basically math.
What's it backed by?
Nothing.
Math and hash rates.
I would say nothing.
It's not backed by anything. Satoshi Yamamoto, wherever the guy's alias is pulled off he marketed a cyber product which works. I don't doubt that for a second. You can hide your money from the government, like anti-statists.
Which is how they got us roped into it in the first place.
Anti-statists, that is a good reason to hide your money. But the biggest reason why people buy Bitcoin is because they're criminals. And it is backed by the dollar because Satoshi Nakamoto takes the dollar and then says that your account is now backed up by the monies that people pay for his services.
That's
all online.
Completely untrue.
That's not true. Okay, then tell me what it is backed up by.
I'll just agree with Stu on this when it's not backed by anything.
What's his name? What is his name? Yoshitoshi Okamoto, who wrote the position paper. Right, I knew I was getting it wrong.
Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason why Bitcoin is valued in the almighty dollar
is because you're in America.
No, it's because that's what people are buying it with.
No,
and if you
in America,
Bitcoin,
people are buying it with American dollars.
Right,
and in Europe, you're buying it with euros. If you're in Britain, you're buying it with pounds. If you're in Japan, you're buying it in yen.
It's the same thing. It's called money. So it's backed up by money. For the most part, the almighty dollar. Because you can't sell Bitcoin and get Bitcoin and then go buy Bitcoin. You have to get it in. Satoshi Nakamoto is a trillionaire because SAPs pay for his thing. But what I would have never predicted...
He's a trillionaire because people contributed to his wallet.
What I predicted 10 years ago was that the man was going to come after him and find out who he is, break the computer code.
Which they've never done.
Then all of a sudden, well, they won't now. The man is a crony capitalist pig in the flesh, in the bada bing, in the White House. I mean, the Oval Office, literally.
The Genesis wallet, as far as I know, has never been touched. So whatever wealth
Trump
Satoshi
loves Bitcoin and is backing Bitcoin, and his two turd sons, Uday and Kusei, are backing Bitcoin because they're mobsters. And this is
that has nothing to do with Satoshi and the Genesis wallet.
I've been saying for 15 years, Bitcoin is good for gangsters and gangsterism. And who would have ever imagined 10 years ago that a mobster would be in the White House and be all for Bitcoin because his two turd sons can take monies from Saudi.
You know what's better for gangsters and gangsterism? The dollar. Because it is truly anonymous and untraceable.
That's what
so it's a terrible comparison.
So James has somewhat of a point here because pallets of cash are unwieldy.
You're not telling the truth.
Yes.
You're not telling the truth, Richie Rich, when you deny.
But you don't travel with a pallet of cash. You store it somewhere in a safe, in a cave, Right, and you take what you
Bitcoin
need
is
from that
good to
stash to
hide
like the
your
grocery
money
store to the
online.
bodega to buy your stuff.
You're not making a point that I wouldn't already have agreed with. But Bitcoin is good for gangsters, and I do actually like it that it's good for foreigners that want to hide their money from their actual gangster governments, of which, again, I want to also talk about Minnesota Nice, and I wonder where's the outrage? Why aren't the murderers that capped Renee Good and Alex Preddy not household names that live in infamy like some nobody Derek Chauvin was and is when he killed some nobody degenerate or precipitated the guy's premature death. He didn't murder him. The guy was just an atrocious scene. Why 1 million people went to downtown New York City during the height of the COVID scare to protest some nobody's loss of life. But it has me wondering that if like Alex Preddy or Nicole Good were black, there would have been 1 million people on New York City a week later protesting their murder. We live in a sick world.
Maybe because they weren't murdered in New York City? Like there have been protests around the country.
Murdered in Minneapolis. George Floyd was killed in Minneapolis, the same city where actually Nicole Good was murdered.
Yeah,
Alex
and Minneapolis
Preddy was
burned down a police station.
Yeah,
over that.
I don't defend that. I don't defend that. I know that. What I'm lamenting is where's the outrage? It's not even on your station either. Where's the outrage? Why isn't Jonathan Ross a name that everybody wants to cap? Like literally, where is the outrage? I'm still baffled by that.
I'm sorry you missed it if we didn't cover it.
You Bitcoiners got one of your own. It's not a matter of missed it, by the way. You're not still talking about it because Jonathan Ross and the two brown guys that shot Alex Preddy 10 times in less than 5 seconds when one was enough to subdue him.
How many episodes of Free Talk Live would be sufficiently dedicated to that one specific topic?
Let me just put it
to assuage your criticism.
Where do you think the outrage is?
In Minnesota, they're protesting.
Yeah, no, national and international outrage. Where do you think it is? And you think it would be there if the victims were black? And by the way, Riley, Paul Burnham, Uniganthan is the victim of Mark Edge.
Okay, why would I care about that?
And it's not. You should be appalled by the commercial that's played.
I'm not appalled by it. I don't care.
I know you don't care. There you go. If somebody's politics are the same as yours, you don't care that he.
I let God be the decider on this one.
You literally don't care that it's one of your own, one of your founders is an accessory to murderer, and you don't care because he shares your politics.
Similar question.
Left-winger, you'd hate his guts.
Similar question.
Isn't that true, Riley?
At what point does Mark get grace from anybody?
True?
I don't really care what you have to say, James. I really don't care what you have to say.
Do we have to hate Mark forever?
No, I wouldn't hate him forever if he actually you're commanded to forgive somebody that seeks forgiveness. You're not commanded to forgive somebody that isn't ashamed, isn't even sorry, and blames the victim. Or in the case of Mark Edgington in that repugnant commercial, he blamed Christianity literally by name. That's as repugnant, and why I'm glad his fellow founder is in jail, as Mark should be, Edgington should be as well, Riley.
But he was.
And you would care. You would care.
He was convicted,
your family member
sentenced,
served
his sentence, got released, entered private society from like the bottom.
Now you're backing up the state sentence. Oh, he served his.
No, I asked you at what point does he get forgiveness and grace? And if
murder,
how long must we hate Mark Edgington to assuage the mouth-breathing dullard from Nevada or Arizona?
I hate unrepentant criminals, of which that commercial literally just epitomized it.
So if Mark were repented,
you should be ashamed to be associated with him.
What does Mark have to do What does Mark have to do to display his repentance to assuage you?
That's the Unagathans that he has to assuage. But he should be in jail.
Well, we've got you on the phone. They don't seem to care as much as you.
They're not calling the show every day demanding
I have no
you
idea
do
how
something
they're
about
doing.
it.
Okay.
Neither do you. I have no idea how they're doing. And I know, Riley, by your own words, you could give a rat's ass, which makes you...
Why won't you answer my question? What does Mark have to do? No, you didn't. You deflected and said it's on somebody else. But here you are calling into the show,
his victim,
white knighting for a victim that may have forgiven him 20 years ago.
Oh, that's great. That's a great line. White knighting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'll answer.
Everyone must hate Mark Edge because I don't like him.
I hate murderers and people that blame Christianity on being accessory to murder. That's so repugnant. It's beyond words.
Okay.
And you should be ashamed of that commercial. Riley, you should be ashamed of it.
I don't think I should be.
I've never even heard the commercial.
Because you're not a thinker. It was just on.
I don't listen to the commercials.
It literally was on during the commercial break. The first thing that came on.
I literally took my headset off and went to the restroom during the commercial break.
You're exonerated. You've never heard that commercial. You've never heard that commercial ever on LRN, even though it's literally been playing for 10 years.
I've literally never heard that commercial on LRN.
Riley, I don't believe you.
I listen to the podcast version, and it doesn't play those ads.
Yes. I listen to the podcast version, and those ads aren't there.
Commercials to Mark Edge.
What must I do, James?
10 years.
What must I do to earn your trust in order for you to believe me when I tell you that I haven't listened to the commercial? How can I prove this to the almighty arbiter, the mouth-breathing dullard from Arizona?
Oh, that's a good one. Dude, that's as funny as me calling you a fatso. Can you come up with something on your own?
I've just came up with all of that on my own. I got no prompting from Stu or Riley.
Hey, Richie, what you should do is...
And it would be more insulting if I wasn't fat.
Riley should have said...
Right? Like, I'm fat. I recognize that. You can't insult me by calling me a fatso when I know I'm fat.
I'm responding in kind. You're the one that thinks you're funny calling me a mouth-breathing dullard.
That was your handle in the chat room. Self-selected by you.
That was a joke on Mark Edgington calling me that. But that's fascinating, Riley. He remembers my handle from literally 10 years ago.
I have a good memory.
Better than you. That's literally even better than you recognizing my voice and I haven't called this grotesque thing that you guys call a church for tax evasion purposes. Which, again, Riley, if you had...
Why does he keep addressing me? You've been quiet like this whole time.
I don't really care what James has to say.
I know, because you don't want to hear it. You don't want anybody to not call and tell you how much they love you, like Trump. You don't want to hear somebody tell you you're wrong because you're...
If you had legitimate reasons to call me to repentance, I would take your word for it, but you don't.
I actually have every reason to call. You say call in, it's a caller-driven show. Talk about whatever you want.
Yeah, and we've allowed it
Riley,
for this long already.
You are talking about whatever you want.
Wow, you need to be patted on the back for that, Richie. Telling the truth. For what?
Clearly, you don't know how I operate.
Riley,
I'm like one of the most divisive hosts on this show.
I will put my.
And if you could get a camera under the table, you would see how much I am enjoying this right now.
Oh, no. Good for you. Then hold me on over the break. You'll enjoy it even more.
That's up to Stu.
Although I think you just lied, by the way.
Why, can you see under the table?
When I speak
my
of
jeans
what
are tight.
Mark Edgington said, like your dad, who you say is a Christian, Mormon, whatever, it's like the same thing but a weird offshoot. He's a religious man who fears God and Jesus and knows that you're supposed to not lie, cheat, or steal. Now, your dad, if he heard that commercial, I would think that if he knew you associate with that man, he'd be appalled.
Okay.
He'd be like, he said what?
Oh, no.
He's blaming Christianity on his being the...
Some people go through healing process.
Parental hatred.
He said what? That's not hatred. That's called righteous indignation. You don't...
Parental righteous indignation.
Yeah. Yeah, Riley.
I didn't have to care what my parents thought since I turned 18.
Your dad should be ashamed of you, Riley. No, it's not okay. It's what you need to get a moral compass. You need to stop hanging around with effing losers and murderers. And the reason why Ian Bernard is in prison right now is not because he violated being punished for free speech. He's literally in jail because the man caught him like Al Capone. He's been evading taxes and making a lot of money off the I know.
Well, then why are you insinuating that like Al
But
Capone is
in jail
convicted of tax
because they
evasion?
went after him because he's a Bitcoin artist, and they got him and they put him in jail because of that.
Yeah. If by Bitcoin artist you mean legitimate seller of Bitcoin, you would be correct.
Mm-hmm. If you mean scammer,
businessman,
then absolutely incorrect.
Yes. No. All of his transactions were legit.
So,
and he vetted as best he could, more so than any other money transmitter would for that type of situation.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know Mark well. I don't dislike him, but I do like Ian. So, anyways, we're gonna go to the next call. We've got, I believe this is Ralph. Ralph, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind? Hello,
Mr. Machio. Nope, wrong Ralph.
We will put them back on hold, and we'll go to the next caller. Wireless caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Is that me?
Yep, that's you.
Hey, guys. This is Michael. I live here in Texas. I was just listening in a little bit. I kept up with Ian's story for years. I was locked up there in Texarkana, outside Texarkana, Texas, and all the way until they moved me. But I called and talked to Bonnie and heard the update on Ian, and he was actually locked up. Kind of surprised me. But, this guy that's just called in, I was here. Was he talking about he was referring to Ian?
No, he was referring to Mark Edge, the other founding co-host of Free Talk Live.
Right. No, I know him. Yeah, I know Mark as well. Yeah, I look at both of them as like mentors of mine, actually. But what happened to Mark?
When he was 18, he was convicted of murder for being, an accessory to a crime that had committed.
For being murder adjacent.
Right. So, some of what James Whittakind said was accurate in that description, but Mark was convicted, sentenced, fulfilled his sentence to the state of Florida, and was released, at which point in time he turned his life around, became a productive member of society, founded Free Talk Live, made a ton of money, and now is gallivanting about the world off of his legitimate earnings as a businessman in a capitalist society.
Yeah, the last I heard, he had called in one time from outside of, I don't remember, it was outside of Peru or something. They're trying to put together like an island down there or something. But
somewhere in Honduras.
Probably Honduras, yeah. But I also wanted to say that, because you had led into a little bit in that conversation where I thought you were referring to Ian because it sounded very similar to where
at the end we were talking about
him into going into there and giving him approval to use that machine, and he was implying that he was a heroin dealer. That way, that was an entrapment to Ian in that case, and so that all kinds of the tactics that they used. I remember all of that.
Right, that part is also true, and also again why. If you ask us our opinion, it was a witch hunt to get Ian, mostly for the opinions he shared on Free Talk Live. And we know this because it's not the first time that the studio was raided in an attempt to get Free Talk Live off the air, right? They've made multiple attempts. This time they found something that, stuck. And depending on who you ask, because I know there was some disagreement between me, Bear, and Bonnie on last Sunday's show. Depending on who you ask, there's a lot of blame to spread around on why he's currently in prison.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Is this the captain talking?
No, this is Richie Rich.
The captain hasn't been on the show in a while.
Captain is also gallivanting around the United States somewhere and enjoying himself.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Well, I love you guys. I haven't really tuned into the show as much as I'd like to. I'll change that here, soon in the near future. But I listened to you guys for years.
Appreciate it. Call in as much as you want.
You actually touching on interesting, important topics. So it's awesome. You have let people, anybody can call in. So it's real stuff. And like I said, Ian and Mark basically gave me a whole new mind frame on life. I didn't even know there were people that existed like that.
Well, thanks for the praise and the call tonight. This is Free Talk Live.
Hey, you are going to love the movie Victimless Crime Spree. It's hilarious, heartwarming, and carries a ton of inspiring freedom messages. Feeling down about the lack of liberty in your life? You need to put on this film with some friends and have a good laugh. It's a true story about me and my friends in New Hampshire living free, singing, dancing, and getting arrested. Of course, it's all on video, and the bad guys, the cops, judges, bailiffs, and sheriffs, they all play their part like it's out of a movie or something. You would think we scripted the whole thing, but it's real life. Go ahead and have a watch, and if it's been a while, have another look. I guarantee you'll notice things now that you didn't notice before. And the best part is that you're going to walk away feeling a renewed sense of your own power. You are the master of your destiny, and you will be free in your lifetime. Victimless crime spree.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke tearfully this week after the deaths of 9 people in a mass shooting in Western Canada. He told the people of the small town of Tumbler Ridge, "The nation mourns with you." Carney cancelled a trip to the Munich Security Conference following the shooting.
Parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers in Tumbler Ridge will wake up without someone they love. The nation mourns with you. Canada stands by you. I want to thank and pass on a number of world leaders who've reached out directly to me in solidarity and compassion. France, United Kingdom, His Majesty himself, Norway, Finland, India, United Arab Emirates, many others. The world is with you.
China has lashed out at the United Kingdom's decision to expand a visa program for Hong Kong residents, calling it despicable. Britain made the announcement following the sentencing of pro-democracy media mogul Jimmy Lai to 20 years in prison under a national security law. Laura Westbrook reports.
The United Kingdom announced that the British National Overseas or B&O visa scheme would allow children of status holders at the time of the 1997 handover to be able to apply for the route independently of their parents. It was in response to a 20-year prison sentence by vocal critic of Beijing Jimmy Lai. The 78-year-old founder of the now shuttered Apple Daily newspaper was convicted of conspiring to collude with foreign forces and a separate charge of sedition in his high-profile national security trial. The Chinese embassy in London called the visa expansion reprehensible and interference in China's internal affairs. The scheme was launched in 2021 after Beijing imposed a sweeping national security law on Hong Kong. Since then, more than 160,000 Hong Kongers have moved to the UK.
US Secretary of State Marco Rubio warned this week that the world is heading into a new era of geopolitics. The comments came as he joined a huge gathering of world leaders at the Munich Security Conference. William Denselow reports from the Bavarian city.
Kicking off the Munich Security Conference, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz warned that we're in an era of big power politics and that the rules-based order is under threat. This gathering of more than 50 heads of state or government is an opportunity to discuss how to respond to this new reality. European powers are expected to lay out a vision of a continent that's less reliant on the US for its security. Over the next few days, a number of global conflicts will be discussed, including the war in Ukraine.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
This is Free Talk Live. Talk radio you control. All you have to do is call 603-283-6160 and we will listen to your thoughts and ideas about whatever you want to talk about.
And fire back if I feel like it.
Indeed, you got to be ready to have a conversation.
Indeed.
Return volley.
Unless you got something written down and you just want to read it out and then hang up on us, that's fine too.
I'll fire back anyway.
We will definitely have commentary. Speaking of which, we're going to go to the phones. We'll try this caller again. Is this Ralph?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hi.
You're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Howard Lutnick. You know who he is, right?
I've heard the name.
Yep.
Well, he is Trump's Secretary of Commerce. And it seemed like 4 months ago, he was on Pro Force One podcast, and I watched it where he did an interview, a lengthy interview where he said that, see, he lived next to Epstein, in the most expensive townhouse in New York City, where he lived. He said him and his wife went over for a visit.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I finally know what you're talking about and where I've heard the name recently. Go on.
Yeah, and so they went and visited him the only time, he says, and him and his wife were shown around, and he opened up this door, and there was a big massage table in the middle of the room, and he
aspirational living.
Yeah, Epstein. He was bragging about how he got the right kind of massage every day. And so he said they were so shocked that they vowed never again to be in that house with such a disgusting person.
To be fair, if I got a massage every day, I would also brag about it.
I would probably brag about it too.
Yeah.
If I had a dedicated room with a massage table,
the right
and a
kind
dedicated
of massage.
masseuse.
Yeah. I get the feeling this was like
full
not
release
that.
massage. Anyway, so that's what he said 4 months ago, and then he comes in front of Congress there. I think it was Tuesday, and he had to admit, because some emails came out, that he's been having ongoing business dealings with Epstein even after his 2008 conviction. He visited Epstein Island in 2012 with his kids and wife. And he had lunch and dinner and drinks with him in 2011. So here he is, caught in this big freaking lie, where he's saying he didn't have anything to do with Epstein, and then find out he was in business with him and in different, businesses, several businesses.
I think this is the most amazing thing about the release of the files, right? Like if you're in the files and you've had email interactions with Jeffrey Epstein in some form or factor or another, right? Like why risk the lie when you know it's possible that you're going to get called out on it later? Right?
Unbelievable. And, he's one of those, Lucky Larry. You know who that is, right?
Larry Silverstein?
He was the owner of the Twin Towers that the day that they got blown up. He just happened to have a dentist appointment. And so other than that, he was there every single day. Well, Lutnick was head of Cantor Fitzgerald, which was the floors right above where whatever happened, whether it was explosion or whatever. But he took his son that morning to kindergarten, and so he survived 9/11. And his sister, who was supposed to be there, she had a canceled appointment, so she didn't show up. Kind of strange, I've heard there was a calling service, Indigo, something, I can't remember the exact name, where they Jewish people were called up not to go in. I don't know if you ever heard about that.
I think there are strange coincidences and normal coincidences. Because there were thousands of people in the towers. Man.
I don't believe in coincidences.
Exactly. There is no such thing as coincidence. But, it's like...
I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
This whole group... I don't know if you know what the Sabbatean Frankists are.
I do.
Yep. And they're wackos that believe in inversion theology. Like, if you do bad, that's good.
Yeah,
so the more bad they do, they were having sex with their family members. They were it was all kind of disgusting stuff, and it still lives on. I got to tell you about this Rabbi Ovida Yosef.
Who would?
You ever heard of him?
Finally found a religion I might join.
This rabbi, Ovida Yosef, he was so popular in Israel that when he passed away, I think it was 2011 or 2012, 850,000 people attended his funeral. Okay? So, and I get this from the Jerusalem Post. Here's his quote. Goyim, that's us, were born only to serve us. Without that, they have no place in the world, only to serve the people of Israel. Why are Gentiles needed? They will work, they will plow, they will reap, and we will sit like Effendi and eat. That is why Gentiles were created. He said God gives Gentiles a long life. Why? Because imagine one's donkey would die. They'd lose their money. See, it's so disgusting, this Talmud, Kabbalah, Zohar, that they forecast the future, nobody knows the future.
To paraphrase Wiley a little bit, who cares?
Hold on a second. So Kabbalah and these types of things, they're tools. They can be used wrongly, or
nobody can tell the future. Come on. You think anybody can tell the future?
Yeah.
There's too many variables in this world. But the reason they can tell the future is like there's, I won't get into the 6 million figure, but they were always trumpeting that, like back even 1900, 6 million Jews are dying in Russia or this and that. There's all kind of newspaper articles that back that up. And so they finally, after World War II, they got this 6 million figure. You know that 4 million of that was from Auschwitz.
I feel like this is just it's the Jews' call.
Yeah.
They
just don't want to say
number.
It's the Jews.
Somewhere around 1. See, so their 6 million figure is just totally bogus. But anyway, like Trump, see, he's got nothing but Zionists around him, and Ludnick was one that everybody had to swear their allegiance to Israel in order to get on.
So we get it.
His
it's
cabinet.
the Jews. What do you want to do about it?
Well, they're not really Jews. See, there's a lot of Jewish people that don't even think Israel should be. It's an abomination. It shouldn't exist.
So
Zionism is a political movement. It has nothing to do with religion.
So it's whatever label you want to put on they, them, those. Same question. What do we want to do about it?
Well,
you got a lot of complaints and no solutions, man.
First of all, Ludnick shouldn't be there, okay? He's such a liar. He needs to be gone.
Shouldn't be.
I'm happy with throwing out all of them. Anybody who holds any political position right now, all the way down to mail carrier, throw them all out.
Public school teacher.
Yes.
Especially
them. Throw them out and make them unemployable.
Let's start with Trump and his cabinet. Trump was bankrupt 4 times. Did you know that he was
that's what he got famous for. Bankrupting casinos.
Trump was financed his casinos by Rothschild. You know who Rothschild is?
So the problem is it's the Jews, and the solution is impeach Trump.
No, it's the cult within Judaism. Just like there's more Christian Zionists than there are Jewish Zionists. Did you know that? That's because the Scofield Study Bible have them believe in all kinds of shit. Like
can't say on the radio.
The world has to end before Jesus is coming back.
Thanks for the call tonight.
So all of that nonsense just to impeach Trump?
Sure sounds like it.
I guess so. I mean, I'm happy. Like, I don't need any of that nonsense. I'm ready to impeach everybody.
Sure.
Just throw them all
the
out.
way down. Yeah.
At least
impeach.
At least then it would give you like a little bit of time where people, the new guard coming in, they'd be a little uncomfortable. You're not going to get away unless you can come up with a better system. You're not going to get away from that.
We have a better system.
What's the better system?
Just pure capitalism or anarcho-capitalism or whatever.
Doesn't work. People need somebody to tell them what to do.
No, they don't.
Oh, they absolutely do.
That's a belief system.
You just said it yourself. You want to be a Sabbatean Frankist because you want to be bad. You need someone to tell you what to do.
I don't need someone to tell. I'm bad already. I've got credit with those people.
You would create a stack
I've got credit with those people that I just need to cash in for something.
I'm just saying. Some people in this world need to be told what to do.
Some people do like to be told what to do as well.
Yes, and you can hire someone to tell you what to do, but doesn't mean I'm going to hire anybody to fulfill that position.
Okay, but if you
That
start
role is
creating victims, I'm going to tell you what to do.
Okay.
And that's the way, that's the way things are supposed to work. You're not supposed to go around messing up life for other people.
Not every sin is a victim crime.
Give me an example.
Well, name them. Give me the 10 commandments, and I'll tell you which ones have a victim or not.
Murder.
Victim.
Okay. Adultery.
Trying to think of one.
No
that
victim.
doesn't.
Really?
Yeah.
Why would you say
I
there's no
disagree.
victim?
What? Because I have no contract with the spouse whom I'm not engaging in sexual activity with.
Okay,
I
but there's still
disagree. There's a contract there.
Not between me and the woman. Perhaps there's an agreement, but not between me and the dude.
Oh,
she's committing adultery.
Okay, as the outside party, I don't know if that counts.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really thought about that.
Okay. I have.
I guess keeping the Sabbath day holy doesn't involve a victim.
No victim.
You're an accomplice to it. Anyways, what about the honor thy mother and thy father?
Depends on the definition of the word honor, but no victim.
Okay. And that's you probably have a valid point there that some things considered wrong don't actually create a victim.
Yeah.
But only not directly, right? Because left to
if I besmirch the name of my parents,
left to flourish, the celebration of disrespecting your parents in a society is going to lead to degradation and therefore in the aggregate suffering will increase, and that's maybe you can't point at one single victim, but you have decreased the quality of life for humans, and therefore that's kind of victimizing people.
Again, if I besmirch the good name of my mother and father, right, like what harm has come to them? You were a bad dad. You were a bad mom. I dishonor you.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, I don't know.
If everyone behaved like you, Rich, society would crumble.
So this was the aim.
If everyone were bad parents like you, society will crumble.
This
so
was
we're
the
even.
aim of religions in the first place, is to give people like a traditional cultural celebration of being decent to each other.
Sure.
Of course, it just got hijacked into now you just got to do what the authority says.
We covered that in the first segment with Stefan Molyneux. Just don't be a dick.
Don't be a dictator.
Okay, we got callers on the line, so we better go to the phones. Let's see. Wireless caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Yes, this is Michael. I was just listening to you guys talk. I had called in earlier. I don't know if I got disconnected, but I was going to see what happened.
We have a one call per night rule.
Yeah, we probably just disconnected the call because it came to its natural conclusion.
Yeah, and sometimes the natural conclusion comes a little early because of a break or something, but yeah.
Yep.
If we let you go, that was it for tonight. Feel free to call back next weekend, though, where we will have two more
Saturday and
live
Sunday.
call-in shows.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that everybody else on the line is also repeat callers and therefore won't be given airtime, but let's see. Anonymous caller, please turn down your radio. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, are you there?
Bye.
Bye. That caller has definitely already called. Let's see if this is Michael again. Mike, is that you again?
Yeah.
I really don't make a habit of it.
No, we got a one call per night.
Okay.
Since nobody else is behind you,
right.
I'll let you finish your thought.
I'll get right on topic what you were talking about, though. I like the way they were structuring it, but like whenever you're saying, some people need to be told what to do, it kind of brought to mind the old, like the coal mining towns and things like that. A lot of those people were voluntarily there. Now, they weren't in good conditions and things like that, but it was their only source of income. They chose to be there, and they chose to let the big corporation just take care of everything for them. The taxes, the store, everything. Just take it out of my check, and I'm going to go to the house every day after work. You know, they were happy that way. In some instances, I'm not saying everybody
until they weren't.
But
well, and some people still are, right? I had to like set some coworkers straight because it's tax time, right? And they're like, "Oh no, I'm not going to get my refund." I'm like, "You're so lucky. You don't even know how lucky you are." Like, why? I want my money. I'm like, because you've already had it. It's already been yours. But I don't have the money to pay them. Well, that's kind of on you, right? Like best case scenario. At the end of tax season, like you owe money. Even better scenario, right, is like they didn't take any from you the whole tax year, and that'll like maximize how much you have at the end. But they couldn't grasp that concept because they're so used to like, oh no, just someone else do it for me. Just withhold as much as you can so I get the most back in the end, not understanding that it's a net loss in the end.
Yeah, that's how most people run it.
Right.
Well, I had a.
But like, I don't live my life down to the least common denominator, right? I'm clearly better than that.
Right. Well, I found that filing taxes another thing in that kind of industry. It's a whole industry, brother. They've taken something that should be simple or they shouldn't be doing in the first place, actually, but they've made it so complicated. Then you have to actually hire a contractor to help you do it. That's how difficult it is. If you want to get down to the like square root of everything, you have to hire a contractor to do this for you.
Well, I would suggest that the more complicated your finances is, that's true. But the 1040 EZ form is very straightforward. If you earn this much money, you owe this much money. This is how much we kept. This is how much you're getting back. And if you don't do any deductions, like it's a 5-minute form.
That's true.
Correct.
And if you can't figure that out, right, then how did you even get a job in the first place?
Yeah. I don't think people ought to be doing the government's paperwork for them anyways.
Yeah, I personally consider it a 16th Amendment violation, right?
Yeah, that's forced labor.
It's unpaid forced labor, and I've not been convicted of a crime, so they're not allowed.
Take into consideration as well, guys, that as far as a lot of this tax filing goes, there are so many people that are unemployed or underemployed as far as their earnings go versus the children they have, that they're going to get a big, quote-unquote, what they call refund, which is not. It's a child tax credit that's given to them by the government. A certain amount is squared away every year based on child. 1 year might be $2,500, the next year is $1,800 based on child, based on your earnings, so on and so forth.
And that's money that they're receiving that they have not earned, taken from somebody who has earned it and will not receive it.
Right. Well, that's exactly. But they're not well versed on doing the paperwork and filing taxes or filing for applications or any of that other stuff. So that's, hey, I'm getting free money from the government. Show me how I'm getting it. That's how it works.
Yeah. And when incentivized, they figure out how to fill out those forms real quick. Right. And then they teach their kids how to fill out those forms real quick. So then you have generational welfare.
Oh, absolutely.
That's how they get you.
That's how they get you. And they make it very difficult to escape. Like the welfare cliff is enormously steep.
They are sneaky. That's true. It does get harder and harder too, the more you use it. And just bit of advice for anybody out there who is using these government-sponsored welfare systems: don't be ashamed of yourself, but get off it as fast as you can, just for your own well-being.
Yeah,
not
no.
a safe
Be
place to
ashamed
be.
of yourself. Like there has to be some shame involved in that. They remove the shame, and that's why more people are on it.
Okay, to the extent that you're benefiting from, basically pirate plunder. Sure, go ahead and be ashamed to that extent, but
people were ashamed of food stamps. They're not ashamed of EBT.
But you're not a burden on your community. The thieves taking that plunder are the burden.
A lot of times you got to put yourself in other people's positions. Like there may be people who have literally never left the neighborhood they were born in, so they're not going to know anything about owning property, owning a business. You see what I'm saying? Anything about finances. They're going to be stuck in that cycle just almost automatically if they're not really made aware, like very conscious. And the schools do not do that. They don't give you any type of financial consciousness, I'll call it.
Yes.
No,
and if they're on welfare of some kind because of their circumstances, and they called this show, I would shame them.
Yeah, the school teaches you to get on welfare. It gives you a mindset that I refer to as learned helplessness. It's one of the saddest things in the human condition.
Right. Well, that's the thing is a lot of these kids they don't really. I feel bad for the way it's presented as far as children. Where a lot of times this is one topic I wanted to bring up to you guys on this show is the free lunch debate. Always seems to always be happening like every election time, right? And like this is literally like a lot. You people are requiring our children to go to your facilities, and now you want us to like debate over whether they get fed, how much it's going to cost, so on and so forth. But like, why is that always a issue? I don't understand that.
Because they're a captured audience.
I don't know why anybody's still sending their children to those facilities. That's an abuse.
Because they go to jail if you don't send them to a facility or fill out paperwork absolving them of that responsibility.
Yeah, but that's an abuse center, so fill out the paperwork. Do whatever you got to do. Don't send them there.
Fair.
Yeah, for sure.
And the solution to the free lunch thing is, as Stu said, right, abolish the public education system.
Mm-hmm.
And the free lunch debate gets wiped out with that.
Mm-hmm.
And Trump was supposed to do something along those lines.
In fact, so much
and has
gets
not.
fixed if you get rid of that horrible government indoctrination system. So much of your society gets fixed immediately.
All goes kind of into what we were talking. What one of the other callers was talking about earlier, or one of you guys referred to as like anarchy is not going to work, so on and so forth. What I've come to realize by listening to like Ian and Marcus that it's going to be an alternative system, and that quote unquote is anarchy, building an alternative system. So that's as far as education, as far as finance. That's what I love about hearing about Keene up there. Like,
okay, but anarchy is not a system; it's a lack of a system.
Well, it's built. Could it not be building your own system? Do you put a hard definition on it? I don't necessarily put a hard definition on it because a lot of people always thought of anarchy as quote unquote throwing bombs. That's it. That's throwing bombs. And
it means no masters, no slaves,
no rulers.
That's not how I see it. You can build anarchy to me is an alternate system or bucking the system for your own.
That's not what it is.
In a way.
Agorism, then.
Pardon?
Agorism is a system.
Agorism?
Yeah, which the agorism
is the buildup of the alternative system.
Agorism is the use of markets specifically in an attempt to subvert governmental control.
Right.
Well, and that's one system, and I think it's fairly effective.
Is that not what the whole movement was supposed to be for? Up there,
no, not all libertarians are agorists. In fact, far from it. You would be surprised how many libertarians will ask you if you got all your paperwork and government permissions in order. Drives me nuts.
Right.
Especially here.
Yeah.
Because there's an abundance of libertarians who are like trying to fix things in the system. Rather than build the alternative around it.
Yeah.
Well, what was that movement there? They were free staters. Isn't that what they're called? You remember
That's
that?
who we're talking about.
Yeah, the Free State Project.
Oh, okay.
It's all different types too, though. It's a cool thing.
Right.
It's a cool little thing. I never signed up for it. Anyways, thanks for the chat. That was a good time. If you didn't get your call in tonight, like I said before, we'll be back next weekend, Saturday and Sunday. You can give us a call then. Otherwise, thanks for listening. This has been Free Talk Live. Peace.
This hour of Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. Rising fees have made Bitcoin useless for purchases, but Dash continues to have fees less than 1 cent per transaction, and its features ensure Dash is undefeated as the most useful cryptocurrency in the marketplace. From a technical standpoint, Dash transactions are irreversible, and its network is protected from 51% attacks by their Chainlocks technology. There's no need to wait for a confirmation before considering a Dash transaction complete, so it's great for merchants. Dash is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies and is widely available on exchanges, including the decentralized Maya protocol, and in multi-crypto wallets. It's easy to get and use Dash. Start by learning more at dash.org. Big thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month to promote Dash on the air. Visit dash.org to learn about Dash. Dash.org.
Eleutheromania, the insatiable desire for freedom. It's the new 3-song heavy metal EP from Captain Kickass. Available now on your favorite music app or get it directly from CaptainKickass.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Coming up next after the news, Hour 1 of the latest episode of Free Talk Live here at listen.freetalklive.com.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke tearfully this week after the deaths of 9 people in a mass shooting in Western Canada. He told the people of the small town of Tumbler Ridge, "The nation mourns with you." Carney cancelled a trip to the Munich Security Conference following the shooting.
Parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers in Tumbler Ridge will wake up without someone they love. The nation mourns with you. Canada stands by you. I want to thank and pass on a number of world leaders who've reached out directly to me in solidarity and compassion. France, United Kingdom, His Majesty himself, Norway, Finland, India, United Arab Emirates, many others. The world is with you.
China has lashed out at the United Kingdom's decision to expand a visa program for Hong Kong residents, calling it despicable. Britain made the announcement following the sentencing of pro-democracy media mogul Jimmy Lai to 20 years in prison under a national security law. Laura Westbrook reports.
The United Kingdom announced that the British National Overseas or B&O visa scheme would allow children of status holders at the time of the 1997 handover to be able to apply for the route independently of their parents. It was in response to a 20-year prison sentence by vocal critic of Beijing Jimmy Lai. The 78-year-old founder of the now shuttered Apple Daily newspaper was convicted of conspiring to collude with foreign forces and a separate charge of sedition in his high-profile national security trial. The Chinese embassy in London called the visa expansion reprehensible and interference in China's internal affairs. The scheme was launched in 2021 after Beijing imposed a sweeping national security law on Hong Kong. Since then, more than 160,000 Hong Kongers have moved to the UK.
US Secretary of State Marco Rubio warned this week that the world is heading into a new era of geopolitics. The comments came as he joined a huge gathering of world leaders at the Munich Security Conference. William Denslow reports from the Bavarian city.
Kicking off the Munich Security Conference, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz warned that we're in an era of big power politics and that the rules-based order is under threat. This gathering of more than 50 heads of state or government is an opportunity to discuss how to respond to this new reality. European powers are expected to lay out a vision of a continent that's less reliant on the US for its security. Over the next few days, a number of global conflicts will be discussed, including the war in Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelensky is at the conference and calls on Europe to do more to achieve an independent and strong defence industry.
The Bangladesh Nationalist Party declared victory in national elections, calling it the beginning of a new era. It is the first time Bangladesh went to the polls after former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's government was toppled after a youth protest. India is closely watching how ties with its eastern neighbour may now change, as Ishan Garg reports from New Delhi.
BNP leaders say the win gives them a mandate to, quote, restore democracy and rebalance foreign policy after years of what critics called one-party dominance under former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. India has long viewed Hasina's party, the Awami League, as a reliable partner on security, trade and connectivity, from cracking down on insurgent groups along the border to granting transit access to India's northeast. A BNP-led government, however, is seen as more skeptical of New Delhi and potentially more open to deepening ties with China, raising questions over future defence cooperation, river water sharing and border management. For now, India is expected to publicly welcome the verdict while quietly testing signals from the BNP on whether hard-won agreements of the past decade will be protected or reopened.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expressed doubt that an agreement can be reached with Iran before he returned to Israel after a meeting with President Trump. Blake Sifton reports from Tel Aviv.
Prime Minister Netanyahu said that President Trump believes Iran could be persuaded to accept a good deal, but the Israeli leader said that he does not hide his own skepticism about the possibility of reaching any agreement with Iran. Netanyahu said if a deal is reached, it must include elements that are vital to Israel, including Iran's ballistic missile program and support for regional proxy forces. His comments come amid widespread reports that a second U.S. carrier group is being deployed to the Middle East to further bolster U.S. forces in the region.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
Everyone in a bustling Chinese parade is attempting to elude pursuers. Newly discovered cave paintings suggest early man was battling a lot of inner demons, and a xylophonist is shredding it. This Tuesday, FBI officials disclosed details of a disturbing al-Qaeda plot to just kick back, relax, and savor the inevitable collapse of the United States. Intelligence agencies confirmed the massive coordinated plan involves terrorist cells across the globe, training specifically to take a load off and unwind as America's political infighting, class divides, moral indolence, and environmental self-destruction gradually tear the nation apart.
Our righteous warriors will devote our time to relaxing and really soaking in the infidels' self-destruction. America's cities will be reduced to ruins. The economy will come to a standstill. And we, the blessed of Islam, will kick back, put our feet up, and enjoy the show. It's going to be great.
This is the Onion News Network.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and typically that means it's talk radio that you can control, but tonight we're not going to be taking calls because this is a pre-recorded show, so that way we can get something out to you guys while I'm going to be out of state, and also it'll be Valentine's Day, so I figured it would just be easiest for everyone for me to do a pre-recorded show for Saturday on Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day anyway, but tonight, since there aren't going to be calls anyway, I thought it would be fun to do a themed show for one of the only really times ever on Free Talk Live, and it's going to be the Epstein special tonight. With you on Free Talk Live, you've got me, Bonnie,
Elsbeth,
and Angelo.
And I don't think you two have ever been on together at all, have you?
No.
That's fun. Lori and Stu also have never been on together, and I think that would be really fun too. So I think that is really fun. We can continue talking about the Epstein stuff without taking calls, but I did want to remind you that Free Talk Live is brought to you by LibertyMinded.com. Official Free Talk Live gear like t-shirts and hoodies are available at LibertyMinded.com. Plus, you'll find a unique collection of cool and funny liberty-oriented clothing at LibertyMinded.com. And so I got you guys to both make sure you do a little researching. Well, I know Angelo's already into it, just to make sure that we're all at least have a basic set of knowledge on Epstein. I've been doing the same. I probably wouldn't have otherwise. It's like, I don't know, in my opinion, it's like kind of like one of those depressing things I can't do anything about, but I still feel like I learned interesting stuff by doing it. What do you guys think?
I feel like, honestly, it was like all the same stuff that I already knew, just different variants of the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely learned new things, but also I was searching through the files themselves and watching videos and stuff. What did you think about the new stuff that came out of these files specifically, either of you?
I hadn't heard about the jerky thing before. That is completely new.
Yeah, if they weren't eating kids, I would have been like completely surprised, but it is a new code word people found.
Yes, yeah.
That it's a new code word people found. Like, we already knew that they use pizza as a code word, but I never heard anybody say that it sounded like they were eating the kids what they were describing as pizza. But with this jerky thing, basically it sounds